in life, meaning to actually create the best you. So tonight, we actually came together under a partnership under Urban Youth Program Incorporated, along with Seeds to Encourage, to bring this program and these very, very talented, very, very multifaceted speakers, authors, teachers, historians, just brilliant minds together so that they can actually touch on certain topics as it relates to no women and children left behind. What is the purpose? Is to make sure that what are we going to do to ensure that no women and or children are left behind? So without further ado, I'm actually going to bring up Whitney Brown. She's going to discuss briefly with everyone Black business. She is actually currently very, very hot right now. We're hot right now on social media under Black-owned businesses Orlando. So even if you have your phones out now, you could probably log into that group. It's actually a very, very resourceful page. You'll find a lot of businesses. You'll find a lot of businesses and things that you need, resources that you need within your community, so you can actually learn to shop and trust in each other again, like we are supposed to. So, without further ado, I am bringing up Whitney Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure there are way more people in this room than what I'm hearing. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. We should be super excited. Now, if I fall off the stage, somebody better come and get me.
I got you. I catch you.
You sure?
I got you.
Now, all right, I'm gonna hold you to it now. Okay. All right. All right. So, pretty much, my name is Whitney Brown, and I work for a company called Aon. We do like outsourcing, HR work, and so forth. Within Aon, I'm president of an organization called BUILD, which is Blacks United in Leading Diversity. So, of course, you know, in corporate America, they have to make everyone feel included and important and so forth. But we have resources to where we're able to fund community efforts and things of that sort. So it didn't take me long to realize that if you're going to work in corporate America, you really have no ownership over your future. At any given moment, your employer could say, hey, we don't need number 7 anymore. And that would be that. That would be it. What would I fall back on? What would be my plan? So the only way to ensure your success in your future is through entrepreneurship. So that's what I'll be talking about today. If anyone has any questions, you can stop me midway. So how many people are familiar with Black Wall Street? Yes, everyone. All right. So as you know, in 1906, that's when O.W. Purley moved to Tulsa. And along with the Stratford Hotel being created, the owner decided, hey, look, there's really only one way for us to be successful. And that's going to be for us to put our resources together, come together, and go ahead and create our own revenue streams. So, anyone celebrate Kwanzaa? So, which principle does that fall in line with?
I know religious unity.
Well,
I'm sorry.
No. Yes, I was about to be really upset with you guys. Principle 4. So principle 4 is going to be cooperative economics. All right, so that's pretty much, let's build a profit together, bring it all in together. That way we're all going to survive. We're all going to benefit from it. So during the Black Wall Street era, there was actually 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, a hospital, bank, post office, libraries, schools, bus system, half dozen aircrafts, and so much more. So we had all of that during the Black Wall Street era. So it took $1 a whole year to leave our community. So before it touched any other community, before it touched any other community, any other country, any other state, whatever, it stayed in our community for a year. That's how long that's how many times the dollar circulated before we allowed it to leave our community. Does anyone know how long a dollar stays in our community now?
It only circulates like 3 or 4 times, and that's it.
6 hours. It went from a year to 6 hours.
That's crazy.
So I don't think people really understand that the way you build wealth is by keeping the money in your community. Once the money leaves out, you're building another community now. You're no longer building yours. So some people compare the way money works through the Black community, the way your blood works through your body. As many times as it circulates, that's how much more healthier your blood is. The blood can't bleed out and then you put it back in. It doesn't work like that. It has to circulate in order to be strengthened, in order for it to grow and be better. Same thing applies to our dollar. So, Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, that wasn't the only community that we had like that. And a lot of people think that it was just that group of people that did it. No, there were plenty of these organizations and these plans that were working prior to Oklahoma, like Rosewood here in Central Florida. But how did Rosewood end?
Not good.
Same way Black Wall Street ended. So, I got notes, but I'm gonna jump back and forth. Pretty much, something happened to where somebody told us that, no, you can't. No, you never will. It's not made for you. You weren't built to do it. And our children aren't aware of where they come from. They don't understand that we've been entrepreneurs. We've been building. We've had banks. We've had stores. We've built our own communities. That legacy somewhere got obscured or lost or whatever the case may be. So now we're in a place where we need to realize or figure out, how do we rebuild that image? How do we recreate that image in the minds of our children, in our households, in our husbands, and our wives? So June 1st, 1921, the KKK came through, dropped air bombs, killed 3,000 Blacks, and destroyed 60 businesses. Does anyone know what time span it took for them to do this? I heard a day. 12 hours. In 12 hours, 60 businesses were destroyed, 3,000 people were killed. I was mind blown. I didn't even think that 12 hours, that's insane. So we've got to be pretty damn fearful for someone to feel that it was that urgent to shut it all down immediately. Right now, it's got to stop. So now we're doing it to ourselves. It's no longer just the KKK or just corporate America or just white. We're destroying our own businesses. We're not supporting one another. We're not shopping Black. We're not reinforcing to be entrepreneurs. It's, college is great and school is great and getting a job is great, but are we teaching our children to run their own businesses, to be entrepreneurs, to have their own ideas and to create their own? So, Black wealth now. In the Asian community, dollar stays 30 days. Jewish community, 20 days. White community, 17 days. And we've already established the Black community, 6 hours. Why are we the only ones that's not keeping our money at home? What is it? Why are we going elsewhere? Why are we shopping elsewhere?
Not being economically size of
Mm-hmm.
lack of self-love.
And self-trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm looking at my purse right now. No, I'm just kidding. So we're 17% of the population. We only are 3% of small businesses. Out of all the small businesses, we're only 3%. And we don't last longer than 5 years. We might start one, but we don't last past that 5-year mark. So it's ended.
think we need to control our own media?
Yes. We had a media outlet. He sold it. But he sold a voice. He didn't just sell BET. He sold the strongest voice that we had as far as TV was concerned. He put a price on it. And now we're told what we should look like. We're told how we should act. We're told how we should carry ourselves as women and as men, rather than someone using that outlet for positivity and growth. And I'm sorry, marketing. So, shameless plug. I have a quarterly event called the Black Business Brunch. And pretty much what we do is we gather on a quarterly basis for small Black business owners, aspiring Black business owners, to teach them, one, how to start a business the proper way with the paperwork. Two, how do you keep your business afloat? How do you eliminate yourself from being that 1 out of 5 or being the one in that 5 that actually make it past that 5-year mark? All right, so there's direct correlation with how many times money circulates in a community to the wealth that it grows. And that's why we see all of these other communities that are way more wealthier than we are. So we've always been entrepreneurs, that's a fact. But we are running into some struggles when it comes from clientele, capital, and resources. For whatever reason, we're hindered when it comes to getting those resources so that we can build and we can start those Black businesses. So we need to come up with a plan or figure out how do we get across those hurdles so that we can be successful and we can have more Black businesses that are opened. So buying power, everybody knows about buying power? So that pretty much says, how much does this community contribute as far as economics are concerned? How much are they spending? Who's controlling the buying power? Because that's the target. That's who we need, the people who are controlling the buying power. So who has the buying power right now? We do.
The most.
Blacks. We are more relevant today than we've ever been when it comes to our money, which is crazy. Money rules the world. That's just what it is. It rules the world. So if we are spending the most of it, why are we lacking and getting the short end of the stick? Because we're not spending our money with ourselves. Somebody have? Okay. So we're growing 64% faster than other races, communities, groups, whatever. We have $1.1 trillion in buying power. And by 2017, it's going to be 1.3. But for some reason, 49% of Blacks don't make more than $35,000 a year. So what's wrong with that math? We ain't making money, but we spending money. It makes no sense. We're giving, but we're not receiving anything in return. Nothing tangible, nothing that's going to last, nothing that you can pass down to your children. It's not wealth, it's just stuff. So, companies only spend 3% of their budget to even advertise to you. They said, we don't even need to tell them. We ain't got to tell them. We ain't got to show them. They're still going to give us their money. We're only going to give them 3% of our budget. We're going to spend all the rest of our money with someone else, the other groups, the Asians, the Jewish, the whites, and so forth. Blacks, 3% of our budget. That's all they get. But we're the ones that are funding their companies, paying their children's college tuition when we can't even pay our own. All right. Out of every dollar that goes into the Black community, only 2 cents stays. The other 98 cents goes somewhere else. We only keep 2 cents in our own community. So how do we build our wealth back? What's the plan? What do we do? Group economics. You need to be teaching a class. No, I'm being serious. You need to gather some kids together and teach a class. They don't teach us in school.
We need to have a conservative party.
Okay. Anything that we can just do right now? Invest in yourself. If you do, anybody work in corporate America? Like, I mean, because I work in corporate America. Okay. If you work in corporate America,
what I need you to do is when you get home, take your check. Take a look at it. Look at all the people you pay before you even get a check, before they give you anything. All the people that you pay. Who works for corporate America and has a 401k? Okay. The next thing I need you to do is I need you to find out if your company is matching you. Because you need to put in at least, at bare minimum, what they're matching. That's how you're gonna get the most for your money. And on top of that, that's pre-tax dollars. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself before you pay taxes and the government and whatever else. Pay you. Put that money in your 401k, let it grow. Get with someone, call someone so that they can teach you how to make your money work for you. Because this is something that white people are taught from birth. They're born into wealth. That's the difference. They're born into wealth, and then they're taught wealth from the time that they can understand that this is how money works. And this is how you make your money grow. And this is how you turn $1 into $50 and $50 into 100, etc. We don't get those lessons. My mother didn't tell me about a credit card. She didn't tell me how a credit card works. I went and got one. There were some issues. They're resolved now. But still, if she would have told me that from the beginning, where could I be right now? How much money would I have saved up? I'm 29. I could have a good amount of money stashed away in the bank right now if I knew from the beginning. So it's getting that knowledge. All right, so anyone know what company hires the most Black employees? Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something, but you might be onto something. Anyone else? What companies hire the most Blacks? Black-owned businesses. Black-owned businesses hire the most Black employees. Key. But if there aren't any Black businesses, there won't be any jobs. I mean, they hire Blacks, yes, but other Blacks hire the most Blacks. So if we have more Black-owned businesses, more people will be employed. When people aren't employed, that's when stealing, killing, survival of the fittest, that's when that kicks in. People aren't just monsters. People aren't just going around just to kill. It's survival. You got to do what you got to do so you can feed your kids. So if that's the drug game or whatever, which is going to go into other reasons why we're missing Black men in the household, but all of those things tie together. You may not think so at first, but they all play a vital role with one another. So we need more jobs so that we can go ahead and supply more people. But to build wealth in our community, it pretty much works like this. One, you have to make your money work for you. So the 401k, understanding if you're going to work in corporate America, understanding the game, because that's all it is. If you're going to be there, learn the game. Everything. If your company has employee stock purchase, get in. If you don't know anything about it, find somebody who does and ask them. I have associates that walk into work with me every day and they're probably worth 4 times more than me. We do the same thing, but they're just smarter with their money. They know how to make their money work for them. Entrepreneurship. And so we're that 17% of the population, we're only 3% of the small business groups. In order for there to be more small Black businesses, you need loans to open businesses. Where do you get loans from? Which means we need more what? We need more Black banks. Because if you have a Black bank, it's going to be a little bit more easier. You're not going to go through those same hurdles and those same restraints that you're going through with another bank. Question? We also need better credit. But that, again, something that's not taught. That what I heard is going to be taught here today. So if you have any, if anyone has any credit questions, I'm assuming these 2 brothers over here are who you're going to talk to about it. So in 1994, anyone know how many Black banks we had? In 1994. Oh, you underestimate us, sir. 54. We had 54 Black-owned banks. How many we got now? 21. We got 21. 21. But that means half. We lost half of them. Half of them in a matter of 10, 12 years. People aren't banking with them. If everybody took their money from Chase right now, shut down. They need your money. They use your money to keep their banks afloat. That's how it works. So we need more Black banks so that we can invest with them, put our money with them so that they can fund Black businesses. You see, it's just a trickle down effect. One affects the other. And more importantly, we need to shop Black. So everyone, do me a favor. If there's something you want, there's something you're looking for, you need to buy. If you can't find it in your community, go online, shop Black. Find a Black business. You can go on Instagram and just put makeup Black business or whatever, and anything you need, you can find by a Black business owner. So what are we gonna do? Shop Black. All right, and that is all that I have. But if you have any questions or you would like to speak with me, my name is Whitney Brown, and I'll be back there. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
Good evening, everybody. Shalom, peace, Islam, Ashe, as you said. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Grant Meeks. I'm here with Malika, Seeds to Encourage an Urban Youth Program. Before I get started, I would like to introduce a few people. Brother Panda, can you stand up for me? He's one of my business partners in the Urban Youth Program. And I'm a brother right here, Mike. He's also one of my business partners in the Urban Youth Program. It's us three who helped put it together. So the theme of tonight is no women and children left behind. That's the theme. Because in the Black family, how many people in here, by raise a hand, grew up in a single parent household? That's majority of us. The majority of it was your mother, correct? Correct. So tonight, that's what we're addressing. We're bringing up topics onto why we're going back as far as history, where I am as far as the slavery, to current events today on why this is it. Why these are the way things are. So I'm just happy everybody came out to support. Thank you. I just want to tell everybody I love everybody who came out. So tonight, I'll be speaking about the degrading of the Black family, the Black woman, the Black man, and the Black child. I will be speaking on slavery, sex farms, sex slaves, homosexuality, molestation, and pedophilia. When I break it down, you will have a better understanding to why women and children are fending for themselves in today's current home. So further ado, let me get started. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna take us back off the slave ship. I'm gonna start off with sex farms. Slavery was probably in this country the worst thing that could have ever happened to us. It stripped us of our culture, our heritage, our language, the way we eat, our lifestyle, everything. It took away our culture and it gave us their culture. You know, fall off the stage. So going back to sex farms, they used to sell us off on auction blocks. They had places where the slave owners stated at the earliest age of 13, they wanted women to start breeding, having children. By the age of 20, they wanted a woman to have 4 to 5 children by the age of 20. So between the ages of 13 and 20. So they was using our people like cattle. And the people who was doing it were our own men. Some of them were even their fathers. So they made the fathers do this. This was not by choice. this was by force. And even if it was still by choice, you got to think about the psychological effects that it can still have on our women. So the man is the provider and the protector. We could all agree on that, correct? So if our own men are doing this to our own women, even if it was forced, our women are losing faith in our men. And you see that today. It trickled down in time of today. And with the males, by the age of 13, 15, they basically had an annual physical. If the male was underdeveloped, they castrated his testicles. So just furthermore emasculation of him. So now he can't have children no more. You cut off his testicles, and sometimes they even cut off his penis. So now that's a man's manhood. If you take off his penis, he can't produce. He can't get a life. I'm not gonna say he's useless, but in his mind, in our mindset, you take that away, we're gonna feel like we're useless. So now that was horrible. And by the slave owners promised the women, they said, we want you to at least bear 15 to 20 children. They said, if you bear us 15 children, they quoted, we will promise you your freedom. So our women and our men, they went through this for years and years and years and years and years. I mean, just imagine a daughter being basically raped by her father, her own father. Now, then they had the sex slaves. These were the sex farms, but we just was basically a production. And the reason we had to produce so many children, the reason they wanted the women to start producing at the earliest age of 13 was because the children were dying so fast. The turnover rate was so fast. At the earliest ages of 4 to 5, they had little children in the farm fields. You have a child at the age of 4 years old picking cotton all day, or do whatever they needed the child to do in the heat. Children gonna be dying left and right. So they basically treated us like cattle. That's basically what we were, cattle. So now let's go to the sex slaves. Now that was beyond words. That was horrible. The sex farms are bad, but the sex slaves, that was horrible. And it was even more worse because, once again, our own men, the fathers, the leaders, the elders, we were showcasing our women to these Europeans. We were showcasing our own women. Like they would tell the women how to gyrate, provide anal and oral pleasures to the Europeans. You know, they would showcase them naked, and these are their fathers. And in return, they gave them, I guess, what they would call back then modern day status, some clothes, some food, or whatever the case may be. So now you have these little girls, their own fathers. I have my daughter. She's never been touched. She's a virgin. And for like untouched virgin women, back then they'll probably go off from $10,000 to $15,000. So you got to think about it. This was like years and years ago. So $10,000 to $15,000 was a lot of money back then. So, but once again, think about the psychological effect that had on our people. We was basically pimping off our own women, and we have pimps today pimping off our own women. So majority of these traits that we have today were learned. They were learned traits. So by education, learning your history, reading up on things, if you know why things the way they are today and why, you can start fixing that right now in the current day present family. So, you know, but the Europeans, they were real nasty. You know, they were real nasty. You know, they really didn't like women like that. The only reason they really kept women around is so they can reproduce. But their preference was little children and boys. And this was the real sad part. So we was even sending off our young boys. So they'll shine them up and, like, you know, lard, get them all nice and shiny. They'll put lipstick on them. They'll put earrings on them. And they will sell off our young boys, our young men. So now, some will sell them off. Some Europeans, basically, they will rent them okay, I want this little boy for one day. So just imagine a young child went with a European for one day, a man, of course, he raped him, had sex with him. And that's where, like, in this country, for black people, that's kind of where homosexuality kind of started. Now, it wasn't nowhere near big then, but that's how it started into the day, because when we was children, we was little kids growing up, you barely seen any black homosexuals. I'm not gay bashing nobody that's gay. I'm telling you the history of where it's coming from. So now let's say this child's come back, he's distraught. So let's just say that child never had, let's just say that was his first sexual encounter. 90% of the time, if a child is molested by the same sex, and that's their first time ever being in a sexual encounter, 90% of the time, that child is going to come out a homosexual. And I'm gonna get on molestation a little later. So that's what they did to our young children. So now, if the black man is the provider, if he's the protector, they just stripped us of all that. We have lost complete faith in our women and children. We had lost complete faith. And even though it was by force, but still, and sometimes even with the men, let's just say you was the warrior, you was the alpha male of your tribe, and they knew that. The Europeans will rape that man in front of the whole crowd. They will rape him continuously, either till he killed himself. Some of the men, which said even end up being homosexuals themselves. But they want to take the pride. They want to take his dignity. And those were the things those were some of the things that they did to us. And I got, Mom, I got my paper, but I got some few statistics about, rape and molestation. In an article in 2001, the 942 in the non-clinical adults, 46% of homosexual men, in contrast to 7% heterosexual men, reported homosexual molestation. Now, 22% of lesbian women, in contrast to 1% of heterosexual women, reported homosexual molestation. Now, in 1998, there was two doctors, Dr. Holmes and Dr. Gail B. Slapp, reported in the medical journal JAMA, J-A-M-A, you can look it up. Adolescent boys victimized by males were up to 7 times more likely to identify as bisexual or homosexual than their peers who had not been abused. Now, in 1977, they surveyed 225 lesbian and 233 heterosexual women, and 21% of the lesbians had been raped. Now, 30 women who've been raped before age 14, 26 had an adult homosexual orientation, while 9 had an adult heterosexual orientation. So basically, molestation and pedophilia is not really discussed in the black community. We kind of hide it. We throw it under the rug, just sweep it over. And majority of the times when these kids get molested, it's by a close friend of the family or it's a relative. Now, by knowing these numbers that we know now, if the community spoke out on that, hell, even, excuse my language, if you call the man, you beat his ass, we stop doing that stuff now, these things can start to stop. Our numbers will start dropping with homosexuality, because if it takes a man and a woman to make a child, it also takes a man and a woman to raise a child. It takes 2. Man and man is genocide, woman and woman is genocide. If my parents are homosexuals, I would not be here today. None of us would be here today. So, but don't get it twisted. This is an agenda pushed on our people. This is an agenda pushed on our people. And you got to keep that in mind. Even as far as when you look at the entertainment, tell me one black entertainment TV show where you don't have at least one gay person or one gay couple. You can't. But these are the things our children are watching, and these are the things we let our children watch. And a lot of us think, oh, this is just entertainment. No, this is not just entertainment. They want to drop our numbers as much as possible. Because if you look up in 2015, 2016, in America, in the United States, more Europeans are dying than being born. So they have to combat with that. So homosexual, they said, we tried to kill them. It's not working. Try to put them in jail. It's not working. We can't, they still produce. So you know what? How about we just push something on and we just make them gay? They make it so much easier for us to be gay. So they say if we make them gay, make them homosexuals, bisexuals, or whatever we want to call it, plus what we're already doing to them, eventually, let's just imagine 50 years from now, if we kept going with these same lifestyles, what will we be today? 50 years from now. I don't have any children, but you know, I have little cousins, I have brothers and sisters. I don't want to have my son walking down the street and my son see two men dressed like women kissing. I don't even want my child to even see that image. And we have to start speaking up about it. We say, oh, you live your life how you want to live. And I agree. Anybody can live their life how they want to live, but you do it behind the business of your own house. I don't want my child seeing that. That's the thing. We are too passive. We accept lifestyles that's not in the best benefit of us. Because growing up, we hardly seen in these type of lifestyles. So we must start speaking out. And you got to be careful about the pregnant women. You have to be careful about the food. When you take the prenatals, it's a lot of chemicals they are putting in the food and in the medications. When you're pregnant with the fetus and you take these medications, they have certain chemicals in them that will I'm not going to say it's going to change, but will start messing with the child's DNA. So if you have let's say you 6-7 months pregnant, and you have a son, and you taking in a lot of soy. You ever heard that term, no soy for boy? We have a lot of men, we have testosterone. If a man has a diet and too high of soy, his testosterone now starts turning to estrogen. So you have to keep that in mind. So you should not feed, even in women. I don't want to go off subject. Even when women, you have to be careful about soy, because soy in women also leads to cysts on her ovaries and breast cancer. So please keep that in mind. Soy is not good for us at all. Should not even be ingested. So we have to start speaking out about these certain type of lifestyles. We must. It's our responsibility. It's our duty to our children to make this happen. We must do this as parents, elders, neighbors. We have to get our community back. That's something we must do. That's something we must do. We must do it, or we're a dying race. Even though worldwide we're the majority, but we're a dying race. And we have to fix that. We must fix that. So just keep that in mind, or keep that in the front of your mind, because we have to change. And even with schools, now they have schools now. They have a school in Georgia, and they also have a school in New York. Now they have schools now. Well, now they put the LBGT or the LBGTQ, it means lesbian, biracial, gay, transgender, and the Q is questionable. You don't know what the hell you are. So they just confused. So, but when you 3 years old, when you 4 or 5 years old, you don't know if you gay or not. So now they have a school from kindergarten to 12th grade for homosexual kids. How you gonna know if you're homosexual when you're 5 years old? So they pushing this. It's being forced on our children. This is being forced. But we can change if we start speaking out. We have to stop being so damn passive. You got to stop. Oh, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. To hell with that. Because if my grandfather would have ever went to prison, it would have been for a hate crime, because he would have killed a homosexual. I'm just being honest. That's just how the men in my family are. Not even when it's non-tolerable. You can't come in my house. You can't come in my grandma's house, auntie's house. We don't like that type of energy around our kids. And if you love your children, you want to put that type of energy around your children. So it's just more than a lifestyle. It's genocide. So I'm gonna end on that note. Now, like I said, I thank everybody for coming out. Malika.
I just wanted to brief everyone, and I really appreciate this crowd. The intimacy of it is wonderful, but there is something so imperative that I need to come forward with. You know, we all have our experiences, whether it's homosexuality, whether it's violent crimes, whether it's somebody that got taken from us due to medical malpractice, due to lack of knowledge of the medical system, due to poor health habits. This is what is affecting us. This is what is wiping us out. So by you being here tonight, you create the change. You start to create that change. I went to school for marketing, and I didn't learn myself or even the word melanin until I was 25 years old. How many people in this room heard the word melanin before 25 years old? Who taught you that? Who taught you that word? Who was the first person to teach you that word?
Found out about it.
Who taught you that, ma'am? Grandmother. Read a book. Okay. When I first started to do programs, it was with my late husband. He had a heart for the community, and he wanted to constantly give back to his community. I didn't get it. My ancestry was Caribbean. We also were molested and ill-treated, but there's a different type of upbringing that we come with. And just like you're saying, your mother, I'm hearing mother, grandmother, great-grands. This is us teaching. This is all about us teaching. What we are doing is being miseducated in the school system and not even being taught our history. African American studies alone is obsolete. Try and go to a normal campus right now and see if it's even an elective in the program lineup. This is within the last 5 years, people. So when we come together, don't think it's not in vain. You're here to get this information, whether it's over here with financial ID and starting off and getting your birthrights, which some of us don't even understand or even know or process, that we are already sold back to this environment. And I have my own experience to share for that. My husband passed away from stage 4 bone cancer. Stage 4 bone cancer. Now, we started to develop where we were reading and things of that nature, but give or take, everybody starts from scratch. This is where we're starting from, people. We're starting from scratch. We've been tarnished. We've been burned. I've seen barbecues, and yet you don't see any of it. Even in Black History Month, you don't see any of what happened to us. You do not go online. You have to go online, rather, and see and look up and read. And it's still jargon information. With my background being that knowing that 98% of this country is run off of marketing, 98%. What you see is what you feel, is what you take in. What you see is what you feel, is what you take in. With that being said, if you allow Chicago to continue to have hired and paid off a brother to already who is homosexual and paid him off and put him on a billboard for the bus station to run, now you have where you didn't even teach your child under 5 years old about the makeup of the family, about the man and the woman. Do they even have a choice? When you are sitting there taking the bus now, you have to be presented with that imagery. Imagery is everything. Marketing is everything. Let's get back to that tonight. When you leave here, tweet, share, tag, like we up in Walmart. How many people you know up in Walmart? Oh, I'm in Wally World. Get back there and get you a plate of Queen's cuisine. Oh, it's banging. You better promote. You better share, hashtag, promote. Oh my goodness, I learned so much information. I learned how to get myself back right. Like stuff that I didn't even understand or fathom is what you're here for tonight. To create that change in your community that you want to see. You are the ones that create that change. And it's so important for us to start understanding marketing on this level, business on this level. Because how else we going to start trusting each other? I can put my dollar in this lovely camera lady right here. I can put my dollar in her. But will you put your dollar in me? Will you put your dollar in me? This is where we need to start. This is where how we start. I read Walmart, Sam Walton and everything, and it was 1992 when he passed and he was getting into his sickness and stuff like that. But the way he thought was to bring low cost to homes. He started with a small mom and pop's idea. But as his great grandchildren and grandchildren, who did he teach first? He taught them so that they can stay with Walmart. They can actually stay and know how to run the company. If we are lucky enough to stay afloat as a Black business, are we teaching our generation how to run it? Are we teaching the next generation how to run it? If we don't have any children of our own, mentorship in your community is so important. Now I have a son, I have a daughter I'm raising by myself. And every minute matters that he spends with any one of you brothers up in here. My son needs that time with you. And it's so important that you even just do what you can, whether it's volunteer once a week. You're going to make a difference in somebody's life. If you're good at math, sit down with one child. Sit down with one child. If you just good at securing the area, volunteer at the elementary school. They need us. They need us. And that's the only way we're going to start rebuilding is to pinch off a little bit of our time. If we sacrifice our time before our money because we don't have any, let's be real now. If we don't have it to start with, where are we going to start rebuilding ourselves? Where are we to start? We have to start giving each other's time, respecting each other's time. West Oaks Mall right now is rented out by a name of a woman named Evelyn for Black History Month. She believed in her community. She believed that we would show up. She tore down the Nike store and made a museum for us to go in there. And tell me if any of y'all are local, if you've been to West Oaks Mall. How does it look? How does it look? If you've been in there this month, she's trying to make a change, but she's only one person. And you say, oh, only one person is not enough. The change starts with each and every one of us. You think one person, Martin Luther King, you think one person, all of the people that we looked up to that they tear down, they were singled out. They were isolated. Without being isolated and coming together like this more often and spending time in the presence of each other in order to regain our trust is what it's all about. But without further ado, I just had to tell y'all that. Like, seriously, I had to tell y'all that before y'all get out of here, because a lot of people will go back to doing the same exact thing, and I don't want you to feel like you came out here and your time was wasted, because you should have heard something tonight that will change the course of your life, that will allow you to open up your mouth in situations where you hear that friend at work. They'll be like, man, you talking about Illuminati, but man, you crazy, man. You on that black power stuff. You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time. So we have to learn how to start standing up. Okay, well, you know, our people are not that gone, because I'm not standing in here talking to an empty room. We have to start somewhere. And it's within these events, it's within taking our time, and then we'll get that dollar circulated back into our community. If we don't know each other and then spend any time, quality time with each other, oh, I don't trust that person. Oh, I don't know how many clients she seen. She good. But why we don't do that with Walmart? I'm trying to figure it out. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the first topic. This brother right here, how many books? Oh, he's an 8-time author. Everything from veganism, how to eat, to how to survive. Some of y'all right now wouldn't even know what to do without a cell phone for an hour. And he has a book on how to survive. If there was a major shutdown, if they pulled what they did in Flint, with the water, if they pulled what they did anywhere else, how ready would we be? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Sarim Ye'enea.
First of all, shalom, assalamu alaikum, hotep, Islam, peace. How y'all doing? Of course, first of all, I'm gonna give all honor and respect to the creator of the universe. Yeah, I caught that. I caught that already. All right. We talk about a lot of things, right? And a lot of things we've been through. You know, no woman and child left behind. I'm gonna share something with y'all. Us as men, right? We have a serious responsibility that seems to be shoveled up in the rug up on everything, right? Our basic goal should be to provide, to protect, to preserve our families, our homes, our friends, everything, right? So I'm gonna put this line in.
Yeah, I got it.
With this no woman and child left behind, oftentimes, if we look at society today, 90% of us men, even though it's like there's a shadow with us men out the way, we come from the result of woman and child left behind. And we ignore that. We ignore that male image that's actually absent. The image that's there now is a copy of something else. How do we deal with certain situations that we deal with? You know, my first topic on this platform is dealing with violence, violent crimes. And before I get off into something, I'm gonna show y'all a picture. That's in 2000, right? That's my son, my daughter's. He's 4 years old. She's 6. She's 7. We talk about a lot of different things, right? But the vast majority of us dealing with violent crime as men, no matter what our scenarios are, is actually we just want peace. We pick a lot of different horrible ways to, whether it's drug selling, robbery, murder. We pick a lot of different ways to try to seek that peace. We haven't been taught the proper way to get peace. So we seek it in many different facets that have us by ourselves. As a military veteran, you know, I sat and I thought, you know, I'm gonna get my family out the projects. You know what I'm saying? Seeing my homeboys on the street coming back from Iraq, and I'm looking at them, everybody grinding, selling dope, getting locked up, dying. So I said, you know, not thinking correctly, I said, you know, if we had the money, we can get up out of this. So, you know, robbery is always a thing because it's a violent crime. So when you're riding one day and you ride past the bank, right, and you see men pushing gold inside of a bank, you think about that, right? That you can fix that. So in not realizing that the circumstances that caused you to think that, you say, you know what, we're gonna go for this. So I went back to my squad and I said, you know what, that's a lot of gold inside that building. We can go get that. And what I wasn't prepared for was standing inside of a courtroom, getting a sentence with 35 years attached to it. But that was nothing. We hardened in the street. We done been through a lot. We know we growed up in the street without nothing. But what I wasn't prepared for was to turn around and see him looking over the rail, looking up at me, right? And saying to myself, I'm not finna come back home. A lot of times we think about, you know, what's going on with families, what's going on with friends. And us as men growing up, not realizing the seriousness of what man in the household is supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to feel like. This carbon copy that's given to us is has placed us in a situation to where we think that we got to go out and get it, to grind to get it. We didn't know that there was other avenues because of our environment. We were taught this is our environment. We didn't talk that. We wasn't taught that the universe is our environment. We was taught that this little hellhole right here was our environment. We weren't taught about, when we look inside our ancient scrolls, how these forefathers worked hard for their families, how they built for their families, how they went out to do whatever they had to do on a positive note, teaching their sons how to grow food, teaching their daughters how to make things with their hands. We didn't learn that part of it. We learned we're gonna have to get it how we gotta get it. So when we think about violent crimes, right? How violent, where did it come from? Where did it start at? No crime actually starts violent because everything starts with a thought. So where did it start at? Where did the violent crime start at? Did it start with sitting there and I'm looking, I got a nice job, nice military career, prominent military career? Was it greed? Does greed trump thinking ignorant? Does it? I'm asking a question. All this participation. You know what? Is it greed? Is greed the sole cause of it all? Where did that greedy thought come from? Because we ain't never had nothing, right? Environment. What else? What else? How do we allow ourselves to get to a point to where we just forget about everything behind us? Wife, kids, children, family. We forget about that in pursuit of something that we thought that we was going to do it for them. Was we being selfish? Is selfishness the reason? It's a lot of reasons, huh? So what would be
Desperation.
Desperation. That sounds good. That sounds very good. So at what point does the broken come in at? To where you say, you know what? Whatever. What point did that come from? Yeah. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. We done been through a whole bunch of slavery, right? Tarred, feathered, chained up, barred, sold, bought. That's one thing that black man cannot handle. Everything in existence we've dealt with and overcome. What is one thing that we can't handle? Anybody know? Excuse me? What'd you say? Jail time? Oh, we can deal with that. Trust me. What we can't deal with?
Rejection from our women.
Rejection from our women. Y'all won't realize the strength that is. Rejection from our women. That's something that we can't deal with. A lot of people say, well, that's a weakness. Actually, no, that's a strength. We can't deal with that because in a family household, she's your balance. So what do you do when your balance talks down? Because she hasn't been taught neither now. We all coming from that woman left behind thing. We all coming from a slavery several times over. We all been misled, miseducated, given a mindset that's not even ours. In this pursuit of knowledge that we got, right? All the knowledge that we are amassing is separating us and dividing us even further. 100 years ago, our families weren't torn up. The man wasn't gone. We was fighting together as a family unit. Drugs hit the street, it was over with. So where did we go wrong in this drive forward? What did we do? What did we allow in our house to tear us apart? What did we do? Anybody? Programs? Anybody else? What did we allow in our house? Outside voices. We allow things on the outside to come in the inside and tear it up, right? We allow poor dietary standards to tear the house up. Education standards to tear the house up. We cried against a government that educating us wrong while sending our kids right to them. Ain't that something? Sounds crazy, right? You know, it's like your kid go to school smoking, it's bad, and he come home and we blow him. That's dividing the child's mind. That's saying that it is okay. You know, right now, we got men want to be women, women want to be men. Children don't want to be nobody. So, in all actuality, we're going to have to take that man and bring him back in the household. He's going to have to be in the household. And his task is a lot different than everybody else's. Because he's going to have to reconstruct everything in the house. Our dietary standards, right? A lot of people don't understand that the things that we eat affect us mentally, physically, spiritually. The things that we eat affect us on a holistic platform. I can't, you know, we say, well, it don't matter. But a person can get on drugs, right? And it affects everything. Change the way they look, change the way they think, change their eating habits, everything. Don't get no sleep, everything, right? So, of course, your adversary is going to affect your food, right? He's gonna attack you that way, right? He know that you are spiritually, mentally, and physically, right? So he created his political engine to govern your body. He created his media to govern your mind. He created his religious engine to govern your spirit, to keep you locked into the same paradigm over and over and over again. That's what he did. We can't. It's not a untruth. It's a fact. So how do we rearrange this? That means that there's a separation that has to happen. There's a separation in here that has to happen. What's beneficial for us as a people as a whole, and what's detrimental? What's detrimental? We got to keep that to the side, no matter what it is. If we want to go forward.
How do you define that?
Exactly. How do you know what's beneficial for you and what's not? How do you know? Because we going in all this knowledge pool is huge, right? How do we know what's for us? If the power cuts out right now, what are you gonna do? And it ain't cutting back on. What are you gonna do? Most of us from somewhere else. You think you can make it home without sewer? Think you can make it home without no power, no cell phones? How you gonna get home? Anybody know how to read the stars? How you gonna get something to eat? Because that's the first thing rated, so there's no food. Now what? What are we gonna, as men? This falls in provide, protect, preserve. This falls on us. What are we gonna do? What are we do? Our children. My daughter's in Korea right now. How am I gonna get to Korea? We haven't set anything in place as contingency if something happens right now. Our food at home is it. Everybody says that, well, we got money saved up, we got money. Well, guess what? If the system falls, your money gone too. So, you know, us as a people, right? We the only race of people in this country that have no manufacturing revenue as a whole. We have no carpentry mills. We have no farm set up. Everything we still do, we still a liability rather than an asset. So that means that somebody gonna be slaves again. And a lot of us say, I ain't gonna way I'm gonna be no slave. They had to kill me, and they will. Flat out. There's so many books written on that they will. So how do we fix this? How do we look at what's beneficial for us? They tainted the air, they tainted the water, they tainted the food, they tainted us. So how we get about this paradigm that we're in? How? You got who? You got to answer. Segregation. That's one. If they tainted your food, that means that you got to do what? You got to grow your own food. If they tainted the water you drink, what do you have to do? If they tainted the air that you breathe in, what do you got to do? No. You people have learned to adapt to anything they've thrown at you. So who do you think is keeping them growing? What better test dummy to have than the people that's guaranteed to overcome anything? So only thing I got to do is keep you incarcerated inside yourself. And it'll keep my reign going. So you fussing about me doing something to you when you're the one keeping me on top by your inactivity. If you start growing your own food and I'm tainting the food, I got to come at you to get something to eat. A water purifier for 50 gallons of water a day costs $175. So they thought ahead of time. So they went down to the river, added a little something to it. Then they put a patent on the water. Now you got to get a license to go fish. They thought about that. How you put a patent on the river? I mean, serious. You can't even. Honestly, how do you do that? How do you do that? Because they put a patent on you. We skip so much. This knowledge pool is so vast, and we stand outside of ourselves so much that what's inside of us, we ignore that. How do we actually deal with this? We got so many sisters that homeschool, right? But we'll skip over her and send out, and she's doing it for free. But we'll skip over her because we don't trust her. We got a trust issue. Well, we don't have to surpass the trust issue because right now our lives are at stake. And forget trust, mistrust too. Our lives are at stake. Because if not, somebody finna be a slave again. And that guy that said he gonna die. So how do we fight against this system? This no woman and child left behind. It's a whole serious perimeter that's surrounding that. It ain't just this woman and child. Our whole race is dependent on this. Our survival as a whole. Because if she gone, we gone. If the children gone, we gone. If he gone, we gone. So how do we fix this? The answer was given already tonight because it was by unity that stopped them. If they know that they're going to kill one of our kids on the street and know that something was going to happen behind it, guess what? The person who did it, they're going to send him to us. That happened even in prison, to stop wars. They would rather not go to war and send who did it than to go to war and lose everybody. Our sense of self-worth, we need to get that back. We need to seriously get that back. Every time we ignore the little smaller things, like that little girl that's sitting there crying because we want to watch the game, that little girl wants attention somewhere else now. And that TV got it. And the TV gonna give us something else because it got something attached to it. And she gonna start liking it. And she gonna start liking it even more. And that little guy, he like that TV too. So they gonna get together in a whole bunch of them. And they're gonna ignore us and the things that we leave to them. And they'd rather go down there and get high and chill and rob and steal because it's just something to do. Because they have no self-worth as a whole. We allow our children to grow up to be just whatever they want to be. When in all actuality, it don't work like that. The parent chooses the destiny for the sake of the entire family structure. Right now, we're the crucial that we can't just allow our children to be anything. What's a trade? What is a trade? Is a computer a trade?
No.
It's not it. What's a trade? Things that you can do with your hands to build, right? It's an asset, right? It's what solidifies a family and a nation, right? Exactly. So
you got to trade. You can do something.
You can do something.
They ain't gonna cash you out.
They ain't gonna cash out. Right now, with my daughter being a nurse, and all hell breaks loose, they gonna say, I'm a nurse. Get over there for that. That's what's gonna happen. So I want to ask you a question. In our ancient societies, who gave the child a trade? The father did. The child stayed with the mother until he got old enough and went to the father to get a trade. No woman and child left behind. With the father absent and nobody getting the trade, children is growing to be whatever they want to be. When the child acting funny, they send him down to the shrink, and the shrink said, it's all right for you to like boys, and send you back home. And he grows up and decides he want to just change his sex too. That's legal now too. In Atlanta, they got a school just for gay people. They invested $17 million in a kindergarten through 12 school for gay people. But we can't even get a two-room building for free. So how do we pull our money together to change this whole paradigm? Because if we don't, we got some serious issues that we got to look at. Everybody want to run to Africa, that's fine, but until you change your mind, you're just gonna go to Africa and create America in Africa. The problem is on the inside. Everybody keep trying to find issues on the outside. The problem is on the inside of us. Where do you think they lock you up at? So how do we go inside this and fix this? We can write how-to books for this and for that, but unless there's an action behind it, because wisdom is the fruit of applied knowledge. Don't matter how many books you read. If there's no application, it's useless. It's not beneficial. We can talk about, we can go, somebody can say, and dig in their nose and get 50,000 likes on Facebook, and somebody can put something about growing some food and get one. But we ignore that. If you went on your Facebook and said, you know what, if it ain't beneficial, I'm deleting you. Tomorrow, Facebook will change. You know, that ain't your real name. You need to put your real name. We're going to close your account. We ignore this. We look at this bigger picture, but it's this little picture that's stabbing us to death. It's hurting us. You know, that's what's the picture when I came back home. That first picture was the picture when I left. The whole time frame. So how do I go home and talk to some children that's killing themselves, that's eating wrong, that's treating each other bad, that don't care, that's caught up in this American pie dream? How do you fix that? Because the woman was left and the child was left behind. How do you fix that? Accept it. Exactly. Now that you know what your issue is and what the problem is, you can't know the problem if you don't know the solution, right? And you can't know the solution if you don't know the problem, right? So that means that there's an activity that's supposed to take place, right? So in all actuality, us coming together as a whole in this room, the building starts as a unit, not one. It starts as a unit, one unit, and it expands over and over and over again, over and over and over again. He grow food. Why you ain't copying from him? She making jewelry. Why you ain't copying from her? It sounds good when we write that, but how much are you real with yourself when you by yourself? You know, we can social media this thing to death and be like, no, rah-rah, you know what I'm saying? But when you by yourself, do you still think about copying from her or growing food from him? Or do you just say, you know, I'm just going down here and get it? Oh, it don't matter. It does matter, because if not, we're going to be caught up in the butt end of something that really don't look good, because they're not killing your children on the street. They're killing your reinforcements. We are the generation right here. We have the knowledge to use. The children don't. When the power cuts out, because they all dependent on the computer, where they gonna get the knowledge from? Where they gonna get to learn how to build from? Other than being rounded up and put out there in that field again. Where they gonna get it from? They're gonna get it from you. So that's the reason why they have to get rid of your enforcement first. And understand, to get rid of your enforcement, that means they're coming for you next. So how are you gonna do that? Because now men gonna have to stand up and be men 100%. There's no emotions on the battlefield. Trust me. There's no emotions. You can't be biased. Just like truth. It don't care about your feelings. It don't care about your faith, your hope, your belief. At the end of the day, it's going to still be there when you're gone. We keep caught up in this paradigm. It's like we on some me-ism type time. I'm just worried about me and mine. Well, do me a favor. I'm worried about us. You're me and mine. You can go over there. That's not beneficial for us. We actually have to stand up and look at everything that we got going on. She grows food. He grows this. He grows. You know what? We got our own. So why are we crying for? Everything that we need, we got already. That's what makes us look bad. Everything we got ourselves. Right now, it's like saying, y'all, no sale prop. I wrote a book called Basic Instinct, Survival Instinct. Everything in it. Land navigation, map reading, edible plants, what to eat, everything. Medical. Why? Because this is what we're gonna need. This is what we're gonna need. How us as men, how are we gonna solidify a household when we ourselves can't even take care of ourselves? Because that means that woman and child and us left behind. I'm done.
Thank you so much. You can find copies right over here of Mr. Sarum's books. So I actually wanted to take this time out to review just really quick the vendors that are around you. I actually called out Queen's Cuisine back there with vegetarian and other dishes and natural juices. Financial ID services is located over here. Those are the people that I told you about earlier when we discussed about certification of yourself, when you sign over your birth certificate, how you actually get those rights back from the hospital, from the government. And the natural product line, Monet products, also Gianna and Jordan with jewelry, copper jewelry. So without further ado, I'm actually going to bring up Mr. Meeks really quickly, and he will introduce the next topic because we're going to move right along. We want to make sure we still get to all of our speakers because you really need to hear it from all of them in order to be able to change and know what to grab, what to grasp, and take action within your homes before you leave tonight.
Good evening, everyone. So, like she said, we have our vendors. We have financial ID, DeVar's Banks, his children and his wives. We have Sister Yeye. Yeye, give everybody a wave. We have Gianni over there. They have the copper jewelry. Make sure you go. You know, we got Lean Cuisine, so make sure before the evening is out, you go to each vendor. You know, see what they have to offer, and hopefully at the end, we'll let each vendor come up if we have time. You know, give a brief description of what they have to offer. So next we have a good brother of mine and his wife, Gabrielle and Johanna. Gabrielle. One of my favorite people in the world. I love this brother. I love this man. It's my brother. His wife. So without further ado, I'm gonna let them.
All right. I'll shout out to my big brother, Mr. Gregory Meeks. Oh, I'm sorry. We're just getting a little situated. So yeah, so to hit right now, we're gonna talk about marital conflict. And basically we're gonna be breaking the cycle we're gonna skip ahead of some of the slides. My name is Gabriel, and this is my wife. Yeah. So just to skip the slides. Okay. Just to skip the slides because we got a lot of information in a little bit of time. So I'm gonna skip forward. Now, a lot of what we're doing today. Yeah. Okay, good. A lot of what we're doing today has to do with, of course, the Black community, seeing ourselves as a nation, and taking active steps to combat the problem we have. What's the problem? Right? Black people in America have problems that are very similar to Black people in Israel. Black people in Israel have problems that have similarities to Black people in Iraq. Black people in Iraq have problems that have similarities to Black people in Brazil. Right? What is all of this mean? That all over the world, Black people have similar problems, and most of it has to do with oppression from the state. All right, and oppression from the state makes a big difference. Even the problems that we see in the diaspora are connected to the problems that we have in the continent. All right, colonialism, neocolonialism, all of this has to do with Western hegemony and the globalization of race and white supremacy. All right, so when we look at certain thinkers and certain people within the conscious community, both historically and present, we see that a lot of people are of the mindset that when it comes to taking steps against white supremacy, racism, they must take a stance of martyrdom. So even Huey Newton, if you guys are familiar with the book Revolutionary Suicide, Huey Newton takes a stance that a true revolutionary is one who lays down his life for the people. And martyrdom is actually appreciated. And of course, activism is always admirable. But at the same time, if we were all to take a stance of martyrdom, the entire community would disappear overnight, right? So our whole stance, and this stance needs to be that to create a strong nation, we have to have strong communities. First of all, we have to see ourselves as a nation within a nation, which we are. We need to be connected socially, politically, economically, and there is a need for economic charters amongst Black people. I'm sure you guys are aware with Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, right? All right. But before we can have a nation, we need to have communities. But before we can have communities, we need to have strong Black families. All right. And the Black family is in itself creating a strong, conscious Black family as a revolutionary act. All right. So that was the introduction. All right. Go ahead. You handle this.
All I have to add to that is that remember, a nation was built from one person. We remember our forefathers, Abraham. The scripture I had to go along with that is from Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 17, verse 5, where it says, "Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abram, for the father of a multitude of nations have I made thee." So it starts with a single person, and with that person and your spouse, you create a family and you create a nation within the community.
Okay.
Okay. So I have this one. So the first thing, since we're going to talk about having a strong family, which will create a strong community and a strong nation, you have to make a decision first if you want to be in that relationship. It's not safe to straddle the fence. It's not safe to be in a relationship and say, well, I really don't want to be here. And it's not safe to say, I'm just going to leave this relationship and act on a rash decision. You need to ask yourself questions. What is best for my life and those in my care, like my children, in the long term? You also have to ask yourself, what do I need from this relationship in order for me to stay? And it's not your wants. A lot of times we think our needs are our wants. Like, I need him to be more romantic. I need him to sing to me. I need him to take me out dancing. We need to know your needs and it's separate from your wants. What will I absolutely not tolerate in this relationship in order to stay? Of course, like abuse, verbal, physical, even mental abuse. And what am I willing to give up to fight for this relationship? So you kind of have to give up those Disney princess ideas. That's what I had to give up. I was raised on Disney, and I just thought that when you get married, it's going to be all Prince Charming and Cinderella. Yeah, And what do I expect to gain if I stay in this relationship? So make sure, there's going to be some cons, but make sure your pros outweigh your cons. Thank you.
Definitely. And one thing I'd like to add is that straddling the fence is not an option. A lot of times we either stay in a relationship when we're mentally no longer there, all right, or we leave a relationship when we're still emotionally connected. All right, and neither is an option, and neither of which are conducive to the growth of Black families or the growth of emotionally strong Black children. All right.
This next slide is interesting because we always hear men are from Mars, women are from Venus. But it's very, very true because we see here the differences of the needs from the females and the males. The males are really going for respect. They need respect, and while the women we emphasize on understanding. He doesn't understand me. But I'm gonna let my husband take over this one because I guess I'll take too long.
No, because we got a lot of information, so we agree that we just get through the slides real quick. But a lot of our differences in understanding of men versus women actually even goes back to prehistorical cultural survivals, right? All the way back to the hunter-gatherer days of humanity, when human beings were before human beings had settlements or had organized settlements and were beginning to grow food or become pastoralists. You had the hunter-gatherer stage of humanity. Men were usually in the hunter caste, right? The hunter caste was the caste that had to do with taking care of situations of action, situations where you didn't have time to think, situations where quick decisions had to be made. Therefore, when it comes to making quick decisions, men developed a hunter hierarchical mindset. We weren't looking for deliberating on a task. We didn't have time to talk in social groups. We had to attack things in a general rule-based structure in which a person that was experienced had a strategy. Women, on the other hand, and the gatherer caste had the time, but not only the time, it was necessary in the environment for them to be more detail-oriented, for them to deliberate more, for them to be nuanced. Even studies show that women could come into a room, look on a table, and recall most of the objects that were on the table. Versus a man, if he comes into the room, sees that same table, right? He won't really pick up on as much. Or a man could easily walk through a familiar building blindfolded, right? Whereas a woman won't be able to do that. These are hardwired differences that come from 1,000 years of adaptation and socialization. And this is what I talk about. So men were solution-based, right? And a lot of times this plays into our relationship. Women, they're more nuanced. They don't want a general solution. They want a solution that fits the context of the situation. Both frames of thinking are needed for a successful relationship. And I was supposed to be quick, but it wasn't quick. It's all right. So go ahead.
It's still respect and understanding, but basically we kind of train our men and our women to be the way we are, like from a young age. Although babies are born basically looking the same, a girl baby and a boy baby, you really can't tell the difference. You ask, is that a boy, is it a girl? But when we have our sons, we're like, oh, he's strong and he's sharp and he's chiseled. And it's like, no, he looks just like that girl baby over there who's soft and delicate. But we usually kind of form our males, and in TV, in society, we kind of form our males into what they are today, and we form our women into what they are today as well, which Gabriel emphasized are both needed. You didn't put it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we like to share, women, we like to share our pain. We like to, like he said, we're nuanced. We like to give the details, while males, they're more than likely, they want to get straight to the point type of thing. And both are good, but it needs to be some sort of meeting in the middle.
Absolutely. And one thing that I learned from, I'm a student of Rabbi Yehuda. If you ever get the chance, check out West African Jews of the Diaspora. He actually published one of the first Hebrew Israelite prayer books. But one of the things Rabbi Yehuda told me is that men, we have the tendency to be down to the line problem solvers. We want the bottom line, we want to solve a problem as fast as possible. When we see our women in pain, we see a situation that needs to be solved. All right, women care about problems being solved too, but when women are in pain, they see something that needs to be shared. So one of the things that Rabbi Huda told me is that to allow the woman to get her emotions on the table, all right? And she might not even want the problem to be solved, because a lot of times she could solve the problem herself. We have different ways of solving the problem. They have different ways of solving the problem. But the importance for a man and a woman, the goals for men and women, and a lot of times are different, and that does lead to conflict. So we just need to be aware of those differences in order to decrease conflict. All right. We're actually going to go towards some patterns of conflict interaction.
All right. So right now, the slides we have up, this is how we deal with conflict. There's going to be a pursuer, and there's going to be a withdrawer. Usually.
Oh, I'm saying, and this crosses male and female lines, but there's certain tendencies.
Yeah. So usually, the pursuer is that fighter, the person that wants to solve the matter. The one that doesn't want to put the matter to the side, they just want to take care of it right now. That's usually me.
That was her.
And okay, yeah. And then the withdrawer is the person that wants to have peace and harmony, and they don't want to really discuss the small matters. They just see it as.
And that was me. I never wanted to really discuss anything.
Yeah, I'm glad we're being honest.
Nothing was important. I avoid problems because it was a threat, right? Because emotional is something that men aren't. We're not socialized to deal with emotional threats. We deal with emotional threats by thinking logically and covering up our emotions with a framework of logic. But it's not necessarily so.
All right, so he has his excuse for being a withdrawer. I'm a pursuer. I push. That's what I do. I try to solve the issue. And let me give you my excuse, because they say, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. So I wanted to talk about it before the sun went down, get it over with. But so now we're going to talk about the 3 styles of conflict interaction. I'm up here. I'm not texting. I really have my notes right here. You know, so if it looks unprofessional, I'm not.
All right.
But yeah, there's fight and flight, which equals escalation. It's, fight and flight. Okay. And then the next one is so both of them are pursuers. Both of them, no one's withdrawing. Everyone wants to get their point across. The next one is flee plus flee, and it equals withdrawal. So both of them are like, okay, whatever, and they never get their point across. Then the last one is fight plus flee, and then there's that pursuit withdrawal. Like one is fighting, and the other one is like, there's nothing really happening, and that's not going to resolve the issue as well.
All right. So we have a little skit we did to kind of break the monotony, or we're gonna act out each of these 3 dynamics, just so you can see what we're actually talking about. Because right now it's real abstract. But once we kind of act it out, all y'all in relationships, I know all y'all have bad arguments like what we used to have, and still have sometimes, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about once y'all see this. Ready? We're gonna do the fight versus flee, pursuit withdrawal dynamic.
Yeah, like I said, I'm no actor. I'm not really professional. I'm gonna have my notes in front of me. Yeah. All right. So here's the fight plus flee. The last one right here. So here we go, scene. Baby, I've been doing some thinking, and
let me call you back.
And I think we could use some counseling.
Wait, I'm gonna call you back later. Counseling? We don't need any counseling. Our relationship is fine, baby.
You know what? You see what? You're always in denial. You're just afraid of finding out that you're crazy, and you're the problem. You're the cause of all the problems. That's exactly what preacher Bishop Pastor Troy Daddy Dollar said at church today. He said, if we women don't put all our $100 bills into that offering tray, we're gonna see what no good type of man we have at home. I'm telling you.
Man, you know what? I'm not even gonna respond to that.
I'm gonna give him
you know what?
Right now.
We'll be all right, baby. You're just overreacting right now. It's okay.
I can't live like this. Well, do you feel me? I cannot live like this. I've been in too many relationships where the guy just does not care. I don't know if I can take this. I think I need to listen to the pastor and give him all my money, because this is not worth fighting for. And I've been giving my tithes, I've been paying, I've been doing everything right, and I still end up with this type of guy who just doesn't care, who's always nonchalant. What's up with that?
You know what? Just give Pastor Troy money. We're gonna work it out. I don't care if we lose our house. I mean, it almost happened to Evander Holyfield. That's why he has to fight still. You know, giving Creflo Dollar all his money. You know, so I'm sure Pastor Troy is just as good as Creflo Dollar. He's probably gonna do wonderful things for our family. I trust you. We're awesome. We don't have any problems.
That was a fight plus flee. That's
Okay.
him in denial and me trying to fight. And we'll go more into detail later. The next one is flee plus flee. And this is very interesting. So here we go, a scene. So I'm just gonna let you guys know, here's my little monologue. It's our anniversary. And I'm all dressed up, I got my stuff. And he's on his phone like always. So I don't know, I think he forgot my anniversary, but maybe he got a surprise. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna talk to him. Because I'm all dressed up, you must notice that I got my hair did, I got my clothes, let me go see what's up. Hey babe, does today feel special to you?
Yeah, I'm about to finally beat my homeboy in Candy Crush. Hold on one second.
So you don't notice that I got my hair did and my new outfit. So I thought we were gonna go out tonight.
You know what? This might not be a good night, baby. Might not be a good night to go out. You know, we'll go out another night. We'll go out tomorrow night. What you think?
All right, babe. Okay, you know. All right, then we'll just go out another night.
You good though, baby, right? We good. Man, we always good. Man, I love this relationship. Man, have a good night.
And lastly, we have our fight plus fight. And this is escalation.
And this was us, okay?
Yeah, we're pro at this one. Let's go. Let's do this, babe.
Kickboxers.
We do this. So here I go. I don't even need to act for this, but I put my phone down. I still gotta act a little bit. Here we go. Did you forget the phone bill again? You're on your phone all the time, but you forget your phone bill. What's up with that?
And I was massaging your feet last night. That's why I forgot the phone bill. You don't even remember? Look, you just mad just because you was having a bad day.
Yeah, okay. See,
please.
See, you're always jumping to conclusions. That's your problem. I'm not even having a bad day. You're always assuming, getting mad, changing the subject. You never listen, and you only spent 5 minutes on my feet last night. They still hurt.
Only 5 minutes? Do you know how hard it is to massage your feet? Man, I use 2 bottles of lotion. You know what? See, that's why this relationship's not gonna work. See, you never appreciate anything that I do. When are you gonna give some time to me? I used 2 bottles of lotion on your feet, and your feet still felt like sandpaper. Looking like 2 ashy monkey wrenches. I bet you can change tires with your feet without any tools. Man, get out of here.
Wow. Please, if my feet were dry, it's because of your out of shape behind breathing your hot breath on my feet. Do you even brush your teeth? That's why I only kiss you on your cheek. That bad hygiene. And talking about toes, nobody talked about your stank feet. You make flies want to drop dead when you take your shoes off. And don't get me started with your stank drawers. Just thinking about it makes me want to take a bath. It's hard enough to be intimate. You're only 25 on Viagra.
I told you not to talk about my Viagra, woman. All right, so now that you guys get a visual of what we're talking about, we're just gonna address some things that will break the cycle of destructive conflict. All right, we got HALT. All right, go ahead. You take the slide. My Empress got it. Go ahead.
He's trying to make up for talking about my toes. I'm kind of hurt.
And she talked about my Viagra.
Anyways,
They're gonna take me serious. Hey, that man on Viagra.
all right, so we want to break the cycle of destructive conflict. We want to break the cycle of fighting. We don't want our children to see it, and it's just not healthy for us. So whenever you feel hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, that's HALT, you need to say HALT. It's okay. You can just say HALT, and your partner needs to understand that if he's saying HALT, he must be hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And I'm telling you, men are hungry. When they're hungry, you don't mess with a man
Exactly.
when he's hungry, or a pregnant woman.
She's listening.
And then always have an appropriate mindset. Avoid pessimism. Always think positively. Like when your wife opens her mouth, don't think, oh Lord, here she comes. It's gonna be another big argument. And avoid bias as well. It's not okay when you do it and you can get away with it, but when she do it, I'm just saying he and she because I'm a woman, but I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. But if he or she does it, it's a problem, but when you do it, it's like, oh, forgive me. So avoid these bias, avoid being negative, and know when to halt. Okay?
All right. So we're just gonna go through some general behavior classifications. And this is a lot of information to cover. Once again, the behavior classifications, we're going to be hitting you with a lot, but basically what it's going to allow us to do is going to allow us to decode those 3 types of conflict that you just saw, right? So the first type of behavior to avoid are words of belligerence. Just get a quick summary.
All right.
So words of
when you're when you're talking negative, like when you already you're ready to fight. Like when she was like, you forget phone bill again. She already was kind of accusative. It already sets your spouse on the defensive.
Yeah, so anything loud, sarcasm, yelling, profanity, words of belligerence, right? We also need to avoid words of criticism. And I'm sorry, I skipped something. Speaking of grievance. Oftentimes the first person to open the conversation is the person that has the grievance, and that should be the focus. So the person that's presenting the grievance should avoid words of belligerence as well as words of criticism, which are...
Yeah, criticism is when you're criticizing, when you're talking negatively about that person. Try not to talk negatively about the person, try to talk about the situation. A lot of times we point, you did this and you did that. Or, well, we're gonna go into that later, but basically talk about the situation rather than the person.
All right, also we need to avoid mind reading.
I'm good at that.
A lot of women are good at that.
Yeah. So mind reading, ladies, and some of you guys, is when you assume what the problem is rather than your partner telling you what the problem really is. You're like, oh, you're just mad because of this and that. Let your partner.
Like you do was mad saying, oh, you're just mad because was having a bad day. Mind reading.
Yeah. Don't do mind reading. Ask questions. Let them answer it while they're feeling the way they're feeling.
And next we have landfill. This was what the lady was doing when she was dropping a whole bunch of issues on dude.
I agree.
Yeah, well, that's when you're not staying on topic. Also, we have dropping clues, something else to avoid.
Yeah, so dropping clues was the lady who was like, hey, baby, does today feel special to you, rather than getting straight to the point. Like, a lot of times you just need to open up and tell our partner what's wrong, because guys have a little problem with reading in between the lines. We do. We do. But yeah, a lot of times our partners can't read in between the line. A woman too. We can't always read in between the lines. Sometimes it's just good to be straightforward.
And that a lot of that has to do with evolution. Women have developed a way, have harnessed a lot more communication, especially when it comes to nonverbal and inferences. All right, that's just one of their strengths. One of the things Rabbi Yehuda told me is that the strength of a woman is in her speech, while the strength of a man is in his actions. And that needs to be something that, remember, we will never defeat women in the realm of speech. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All right, so the things to use, fact finding.
Yeah, I love fact finding. It's when you actually, participate in the conversation and ask questions rather than assuming. So what's wrong? Why are you feeling this way? So you're actually asking questions to try to get to the bottom of the root of the problem.
All right, we also have opening up, which is basically what she said. Speaking directly instead of dropping clues, you're telling what you really mean. Words of love.
Oh, words of love. Oh, guys, if y'all use
I just started doing this
if you
in the
guys
past 2 years.
use this
works. It's like the magic bullet. Just do it.
If you guys use this, it's just, reminding your partner how much you love them, even when they're venting to you, because I know we can get on your nerves when we're nagging, quote unquote, but if you're like, babe, I love you, I really want us to work through this, whatever's bothering you, let me help you through it. When you're using words of love, like it helps out the situation a lot.
All right, and then of course, when it comes to the person on the receiving end, the person that's listening and responding, we have a lot of the same skills for them. So where's the belligerence? We cover that. Where's the defensiveness?
That's when your partner comes to you, and instead of addressing the problem, you are already on the defense. You're coming up with excuses rather than asking the questions and trying to figure the problem out.
Like when homeboy was talking about, oh, I missed it because I was massaging your feet. Words of criticism, we already covered that, right? Mind reading, we already covered that. We also have flipping the script, which is what homeboy was doing when he was like, see, this is why I can't stand this relationship. You never appreciate me. So how we define flipping the script?
Yeah, it's when you try to take the problem off. So if Gabriel came to me with a problem, and instead of hearing his problem out, I'll try to flip it and say, something about him. And then the details of the problem is kind of put to the side because now we're worried about my problem instead of his. So try not to flip the script. It's like tit-tat.
Being petty, very good. Absolutely. Audience participation, gotta love it. Words of understanding, we went through that fact finding. Once again, get down to the bottom root. This is actually something I learned from my brother Nasi, Yashuvel. He said when someone is coming, and he's gonna be up here next, very dynamic brother. He said that a lot of times when someone is coming to you with information and it doesn't seem logical, but she's all emotional, there might be an underlying issue. Fact find, figure out what's happening. Words of love, once again, works like a charm. Guys, I can't emphasize how good this is, right? Opening up, you gotta do it. Open up about what's really going on. Be real. Apologies.
Well, both partners should take an active role in trying to apologize, get the issue settled, and yeah, apologies should be from both ends. Like it takes two to tango. Just know that we always need to have room for apologies.
Very good. Speaker or listener, right? So last but not least, I'm sorry we're taking up so much time. There's Bible thumping. Just general don't do that. Dr. Phil said, well, Gabriel and Johanna at that No Women Left Behind meeting said, don't do that, all right? The legitimacy and the truth of what you're saying oftentimes does not need an outside source, and it's annoying. Presidential address, when the lady was going on and on about her life story, she keeps marrying the same man. Don't do that. Stick to something short and sweet, all right? Sniping. We talking about each other's shoes, toes, Viagra. Don't do that, right? Interruptions, like how I keep grabbing the mic from my wife. That's bad, right? Don't do that, right? Overtime, like what we're doing right now when we're taking up too much time. Also avoid that, right? Oftentimes, the stress of actually just going over an amount of time in a conversation creates more room for things to get worse, all right? After an hour and a half, let the issue go, please. After that, things tend to get more destructive, all right? Closing down, all right, that's when you just don't want to talk. Fatalism. So open up, let your feelings be known. Fatalism. Fatalism is basically, this can happen, it's nonchalantness. This is a big turnoff to women. Guys, we tend to deal with overwhelming situations. Let me speak for myself. I tend to deal with overwhelming emotional situations by not showing emotion. And that turns women off. And we don't have to necessarily show our emotions, but we need to try and communicate that and not just be nonchalant. Well, whatever happens, I don't care. Gabriel, I'm about to kill myself. Oh, okay. Don't do that, okay? Dramatic acts. Gabriel, I'm about to kill myself. Don't do that. That's dramatic acts. She didn't really do that. I'm just over-exaggerating. But those are the type of behaviors you need to stay away from, all right? And I'm gonna let my wife handle it.
There's nothing more to say. When to disengage and when to halt is when the speaker feels themselves losing control. So if you feel like, when you feel like you can't handle the conversation, you can just say halt. You could be hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. So you could easily stop the conversation. Or if you feel like you need to calm down further, that's another time to use the HALT word. And remember, this is very key. Whoever disengages has the responsibility to return to the discussion within 24 hours. And that's something that we're both working on.
All right, so we're just gonna skip through this because like we said, we're over time, right? So find ways to deal with your anger. It's often a secondary emotion that's a reaction to unfulfilled goals, desires, unfulfilled expectations, insecurity. Oftentimes, anger is just a cover-up for something else. So find out those other feelings you're feeling, right? Sort out those feelings, and become aware of the moment, sort out underlying feelings, find out what sparked those emotions, find a solution all before coming to your partner, and allow your partner to do the same thing when you come to them, right? Also, vocabulary for expression emotions, use I feel instead of you did. Use when, talk about the situation instead of the person. Use I wish, what would make the situation better. Last but not least, we're just gonna go through this real fast, all right? Understand that you can only control your actions. Stop trying to control the actions of your partners. Stop thinking that everything will be better if he wasn't just such a screwed up person. That's not the way to do it. What will make the situation better, even if he or she is a screwed up person, is you changing your own actions, which will allow the person to change theirs. Because a perfect person wouldn't have no destructive conflict. So you're not perfect because it takes two to tango. All right, how do we break those patterns of escalation? With a fight, if they use words of belligerence, hit them with words of understanding. Use words of love, fact find. All right, don't respond back in kind when she has belligerence or she has belligerence, right? And a situation where there's a flee, withdraw, make sure you open up. Fact find, be direct, stop dancing around the issue, have the courage to engage the issue, right? And then for withdrawal pursuit, once again, both of you guys need to open up, fact find, and the person needs to make that other partner that's closing down feel comfortable. All right, we're speeding through this, and all right, we can talk as much as we can, and I'm hogging the mic, but the thing, okay, I'm not hogging the mic. Okay, but we got to make changes consistent, because I could have gave you a 3-hour presentation. All right, I could have given you a week class. I could have given you a year-long counseling session, but none of that is going to matter if you don't decide to make those changes stick and be consistent. Invest in your relationship. Get counseling. Go to the store. I have all these Pan-African books. Within the last 3 years, I just started reading relationship books, and guess what? They work just like all my black books, right? All right. Last but not least, include the Most High. We have a house on fire. All right. But I'm gonna let my wife talk about it, and I'll talk about the house on fire.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. One of the key things that I love within my family is family prayer. And he was supposed to mention, like, maybe you could take an hour. Is it an hour? Yeah. About an hour a week to you and your spouse talk about different issues. But I think we should take time to even have family discussions. Even sometimes when you argue and your kids may overhear, or maybe they didn't and you assume that they overheard, it's kind of good to talk to your kids like, oh, did you hear what your father and I were talking about? You know, we love each other, we love you, and just make sure your family stays strong throughout your different struggles and your situations. But yes, a family that prays together stays together. That is my own thing. For real.
Why is this house on fire? What in the heck do they have that up for, right? So man is the word ish in Hebrew, all right? Without the yod, it becomes the word ish, fire. I didn't come up from this. This was from Rav Akiva, and the Talmud, the Masachet Gittin. Woman, it's the same thing. Isha becomes ish, fire without the hay, all right? Yod, which is the Y, and hay, which is the H, make the name of the Most High. Blessed be his name, Y-A-H, right? So basically the conclusion was that Ish, man, and Isha, woman, are become Ish without the Most High, Baruch Shamo. So in keeping families strong, especially from the Hebrew Israelite perspective, we must include the creator of all things, the source of all. Hallelujah, blessed be his name. And that's it, we're done.
They were awesome, weren't they? I like that little skit. I hope some of y'all go back and apply it, you know. Yes, got the notes, got the slides. Talk to them while they're in the building. Without further ado, I got to keep it rolling. I'm just going to introduce this brother like this because he's a humanitarian, but it's just, what does Ron have to say about it? That's what I noticed on his social media and everything. What does Ron have to say about it? So I'm not even going to take up his time. I'm going to just let him talk on his topic. It's incarceration and how that actually plays a role. I've had people, even Whitney had a close story with incarceration. We all have had brush-ins with this topic. So without further ado, Ron Shields, Divine Prospect. Give it up, give it up.
All right. Ron, that's good. I like that. All right. I'm gonna try to get through this real quick because we don't have a lot of time. So bear with me if I speak a little too fast, but I'm gonna have the slides up so you can read it, and also when you go back to the video, you can check it out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to set up, do the technical stuff while, making sure you're okay and everything like that. All right, so let me get started on this, all right? So thank you for the introduction. I don't know, where do we go? Oh, right there. Thank you for the introduction. It's an honor to be here to speak on this platform with Gregory and Lika, as well as the other speakers and presenters. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself so far. If not, I'm gonna try to turn it up a little bit, all right? All right. I want to thank all y'all for being here, so give yourselves a round of applause real quick. Y'all lasted, y'all the VIPs, all right? So we're doing this for y'all, all right? All right, so let me get started. How many people in here has had personal experience with being incarcerated or know someone that is incarcerated? Raise your hand. I think that's almost everybody in here, right? Okay, can you hear me good on the mic? Good, okay. So what I want to do is, since almost everybody in here is familiar with it, or if you have not, how many of you have seen it on TV, at least? Have you seen it on TV, read it in a book, heard it in a song? Anybody? All right, that should be everybody, right? Yes, see, whatever you want to use. All right, cool. I just want to make sure you're awake and you're involved, all right? All right, cool, because I can't do this without y'all. All right, let's rock. All right, so if you look here, the name of my presentation is called Picnic. Picnic, right? Prison Industrial Complex for Negroes in Circumstance. Now, when I first posted it, I had a different word for C, but I put that one there because it looked more appropriate. But if you look here, look at the images on this PowerPoint right here. What does that bring to mind to you? Look at all these images. What does that bring to mind to you? Anybody? Slavery. What else? Huh? Genocide. What else? Drug game. Somebody said. All right. What else? Oppression. All right. Good. Good. All right. So you see all this. So I have imagery right here. We have a slave in shackles, and then we have a slave on a plantation. We have a brother behind bars, and now we have the brothers outside of the bars doing some work. Up here, we have a black man voting. Right next to it, we have a lynching, with a lynch mob here having a picnic. At the same time, the lynching is going on. And now we have a brother right here with crack. All right? Then right in the middle is a handgun, some shells, and some money. All right? So these are the things that come to mind to me when I think about incarceration, better known as the prison industrial complex. But let's run through this real quick. I'm gonna run through this real quick. All right, well, I guess I can't real quick. This. I might need you to do this one. You just gotta press that. All right, sorry about that, y'all. All right, you can hit next. All right. I don't want to read too much, but I gotta get through this real quick just so you can get the tone of it. All right. All right. The prison industrial complex. The term prison industrial complex is used to attribute the rapid expansion of the U.S. inmate population to the political influence of private prison companies and businesses that supply goods and services to government prison agencies. Such groups include corporations that contract prison labor, construction companies, surveillance technology vendors, companies that operate prison food services, medical facilities, private probation companies, lawyers, and lobby groups that represent them. The promotion of prison building as a job creator and the use of inmate labor are also cited as elements of the prison industrial complex. The term often implies a network of actors who are motivated by making profit rather than solely by punishing or rehabilitating criminals or reducing crime rates. Proponents of this view believe that the desire for monetary gain has led to the growth of the prison industry and the number of incarcerated individuals. So this idea of incarceration being a profitable thing is designed because the industry is being based off of a problem that we're going to see what it is coming up, right? Okay, get next. Oh wait, it's working now. All right, cool. All right, as the prison population grows, a rising rate of incarceration feeds small and large businesses such as providers of furniture, transportation, food, clothes, and medical services, construction, and communication firms. Furthermore, the prison system is the third largest employer in the world. How many of y'all knew that? Nobody, like one, maybe a few people. All right? Prison activists who buttress the notion of a prison industrial complex have argued that these parties have a great interest in the expansion of the prison system since their development and prosperity directly depends on the number of inmates. They liken the prison industrial complex to any other industry that needs more and more raw materials. Prisoners being that material, right? I don't want to read too much of this, but the prison industrial complex has also been said to include private businesses that benefit from the exploitation of the prison labor. Prison mechanisms remove unexploitable labor or so-called underclass from society and redefine it as highly exploitable labor. All right, let's move forward. So that's just an idea of what the prison industrial complex is if y'all have never heard of it before. But I'm sure everybody pretty much is familiar to some degree what that is. Negro. The word Negro was used in English-speaking world to refer to a person of black ancestry or appearance. All right. Around 1442, the Portuguese first arrived in southern Africa while trying to find a sea route to India. The term Negro literally means black, was used by the Spanish and Portuguese as a simple description to refer to the Bantu peoples that they encounter, which is this one ethnic group. All right. From the 18th century to the late 1960s, Negro, later capitalized, was considered to be the proper English language term for people of black African origin. Right. So forward. It's also a member of a dark-skinned group of peoples originated to Africa, south of the Sahara, sub-Saharan Africans, related to black people. And my definition of people without historical continuity, nationality, quality human rights, and has a degradation of political, social, and economical status. All right, so forward. Circumstance, a fact or condition connected with or relevant to an event or action. One state of financial or material welfare. Keep that in mind. All right. So I'm just trying to define the title for you. Going into this, we have to deal with a problem, an analysis, and a solution. All right. This is very important. You have to identify the problem. Once you identify the problem, you have to see what your current status is, and then you have to analyze what the solution is. Why? Because if you don't know what your status is, you don't know if you're still having a problem or if you're working towards a solution. Feel me? All right, cool. Let's move forward. What is the problem? Prison Industrial Complex is the title of a recorded 1997 speech by social activist Angela Davis. How many people know Angela Davis in here? All right, see a lot of young people not raising their hand, but you're gonna learn, all right? All right, so look, later released as an audio CD that served as the basis for her book of the same title. Davis also confounded the prison abolition group, Critical Resistance, which held its first conference in 1998. Her article entitled Mass Racism, Reflections on the Prison Industrial Complex, and I encourage y'all to go look this up, published in the fall 1998 issue of Color Line, stated homelessness, unemployment, drug addiction, mental illness, and illiteracy are only a few of the problems that disappear from public view when human beings contending with them are related or relegated to cages, Davis says. Taking into account the structural similarities of business-government linkages and the realms of military production and public punishment, the expanding penal system can now be characterized as a prison industrial complex. Prisons do not disappear social problems, they disappear human beings. Homelessness, unemployment, drug addiction, mental illiteracy are only a few of the problems that disappear from public view when human beings contending with them are relegated to cages. So you're locking people up, but you're not fixing the problem. And that's done by design because somebody's making money off of it. There's an image of the lovely young queen right there. Did you hit that? Mm-hmm. All right, can you go back? Can you go back? Go back. All right, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. All right, right. All right, post-Civil War Reconstruction era. All right, so now in order to identify this problem, to see where it comes from, we have to go back in history. All right, so I need you to follow me for a little bit. I'm gonna read some history, I'm gonna expound on it, but I need you to get the history first before we see the current status and we go to the solution. All right? All right? Yeah. All right, let's move forward. You can go next. All right. First thing is the Emancipation Proclamation. How many people know about the Emancipation Proclamation? All right. Somebody tell me what it is. Anybody?
Slavery made it into basically an employee-employer relationship instead.
Yes, that's the technical. And I don't want to get too technical, but that's a great answer. So somebody give me the layman's answer for that. And you can't answer because, you know, we're going to be doing a deep one-on-one, but somebody just, this freedom of slaves, right? That's the impression of what the Emancipation Proclamation, but when it was declared, slaves wasn't free. They were still fighting the Civil War. But the objective was to give the slaves an incentive to fight in the war. All right? Now remember, the Civil War wasn't fought to free slaves. How many people knew that? See, I know most people think it was. That's what you taught in school, right? The objective of it was to bankrupt the South. The South's biggest resource was slavery. So if the South is not agreeing with terms in regards to the North, because somebody was bankrupt, and it was the North, because the North was opening up so many factories, they had to borrow loans. They couldn't pay back the loans. So when it came down to meeting up with the South, Southern states, they said, hey guys, you know, man, up North, you know, we building factories and we all out money. Can y'all help us out? Southern states was like, nah, that ain't our problem. It was like, come on, bro, we in this together. You know, we signed these papers, Articles of Confederation, we in this together, man. They're like, no, bro, you're not messing up my economy because you guys are mismanaging your funds. So North says, listen, if you don't help us, y'all gonna have some problems. South said, do what you gotta do. And they pretty much separated. So what the North said was, okay, the best thing to do is, if we relinquish them of their resources in the South, we will completely bankrupt their entire economy. So not only are we going to fight a war of attrition, but we're also going to release the slaves because that's the best way to get back to the South. Because now you're relinquishing them of their sources for income. And this is very, very important. So when you go back and you research it, have a critical eye when examining the Civil War, and you really see what happened. And nothing to do with slaves. Abraham Lincoln said, listen, if I didn't have to free one single slave, I'll be okay with that. But I got to do it. Why? Because there's another incentive that was involved. So let's move forward. So this came out, again, as an incentive to get the slaves to fight for the North during the time of the Civil War. So it was a proclamation, but it was just a statement that was placed out there, but it wasn't really 100% enforced. We're going to move forward a little bit. All right? We move forward. Go next. All right. Now, as a result of the Civil War, after the Civil War ended, one of the amendments that was put forth was the 13th Amendment. How many people are familiar with the 13th Amendment? All right, now we're going to read it so you know what it is. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution declared that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude was allowed, except as a what? Punishment for what? Whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Formally abolishing slavery in the United States, the 13th Amendment was passed by the Congress on January 31st, 1865, and ratified by the states on December 6, 1865. And that right there is an actual microfiche of what it actually looked like when they actually penned it down, right? So this is saying here on a surface now, because I'm only going to say surface. This stuff gets real deep, but we're going to say the surface. Surface is, okay, now we have to relinquish the slaves, but somebody can still be put into slavery if they get charged with a crime and convicted. So now we have slavery by another name. Have any of y'all heard about that book, Steve Levy, Slavery by? If not, we're gonna y'all catch on that. Y'all catch on that. But that's pretty much what it was. So now that we release the slaves, quote unquote, you're releasing people of labor. So you're taking away an entire labor force that is sitting there unexploited. What are you gonna do with them? So now you got the South. Now South is gonna go bankrupt unless they can find incentives for them to find a way to get the blacks back into slavery and make their money again. They can't do it forcibly. They can't go back and capture slaves from Africa and bring it over. They can't sit there and grab you up and just throw you. They can't do that. So now you have to find a legal way of doing it. The 13th Amendment was a way for them to use a legal statute to bring people back into slavery. All right, next slide. All right. This is some general information. This is about the Reconstruction period. So I don't want to go too much into this because I got to skip through this. But I want you to go back and study Reconstruction because Reconstruction occurred after post-Civil War when they was making an attempt to figure out what are we going to do with these people that were once slaves. All right. So several laws came forth by the quote-unquote federal government or the union government. And these laws was put forth so that way now they was able to make all of these quote-unquote ex-slaves a citizen of the United States. That's another subject matter altogether. But when you go back, I want you guys to study the quote unquote Constitution for the United States. That's something totally different. Talking about totally different system, something that's totally different that went on. But go back and do your research. I'm giving you breadcrumbs. But during this time period, 10 years was enacted where federal troops was going to the South and protecting the slaves and ensuring that any new legislation that was going forth by Congress was being enforced in the South. This obviously failed. Didn't really do a good job. 10 years, it was all right, good stretch, but after a while, it failed. But we're gonna go into a little more. You can go to the next slide. I'm gonna read this. The Union victory in the Civil War in 1865 may have given some 4 million slaves their freedom, but the process of rebuilding the South during Reconstruction period, and it was only 12 years, introduced a new set of significant challenges. Under the administration of President Andrew Johnson in 1865 and 1866, new Southern state legislations passed restrictive, what? Say it loud. Black codes to control the labor and behavior of former slaves and other African Americans. Outrage in the North over these codes eroded support for the approach known as the presidential Reconstruction and led to the triumph of the more radical wing of the Republican Party. Next slide. Black codes. How many people know what black codes are? Not, you got to study these stuff. Because again, if you don't do the history, you're not going to know what's going on in the present. History always repeats itself, just in a different way. Nothing new under the sun. Next slide. The black codes and the pig laws. Some people know about the pig laws. See, less and less people raising their hand. This is good stuff. This stuff they don't teach you in school. How many people learn this in school? Raise your hand. Y'all learned about all of this stuff I just showed you so far in school? I gotta tell me what school you go to. I'm sending my kids there. All right, because I ain't learned about none of this. All right. Because now, you know what they're telling the kids now? We were migrant workers that was brought over here. How many people seen that picture on Facebook or Instagram? Migrant workers? So they just showed them and say, hey, master boss, I'm gonna come work for you over there in America. Never see my family again, never be able to grow my own food, never be able to do anything with any liberty. I'm just gonna come over there and work in America. Come on, bro. All right. Immediately after the Civil War ended, Southern states enacted black codes that allow African Americans certain rights, such as legalized marriage, ownership of property, and limited access to the courts, but denied them the right to testify against whites, to serve on juries, or in state militias, vote, or start a job without the approval of their previous employers. So if they just released me from the plantation, and I'm out here in the free world, and they're like, oh, bro, where's your references at? I need to know who was your last employer. You think that when they call back and ask my ex-slave master, hey, how's this guy, how was he doing on a plantation? You think he's gonna give you some good words? Say, yeah, he was a great worker, you should hire him. He's gonna say, no, this is the worst worker ever. Don't hire him. And under the black code, they was allowed to do that, and all these people become disenfranchised and couldn't work. See how they set them up? Okay. It says, and it can testify against whites. So if a crime committed, black folks say, no. If a white person did it, no, you can't say nothing. Can't say nothing. Now, when you look at the Black Lives Matter, even though I don't fully support the Black Lives Matter, but I like a lot of things that they're doing, testify against whites for something very important. This is why that voice is so strong, because at one point in time, we couldn't testify against the police shootings, or any of these violence that was happening. Now we have the opportunity to do it. So you have all these years of pent-up aggression and restrictions now being unleashed, because now we're in a period of time where things are more outspoken based on social media. You follow me? All right, let's keep moving. And they couldn't go to the military, which is not even a bad thing, to be honest with you. Voting they couldn't do, starting a job, whatever, all right? These codes were all appealed in 1866 when Reconstruction began. So-called appeal. But after the failure of Reconstruction in 1877 and the removal of black men from political offices, because we were trying to get in, Southern states again enacted a series of laws intended to circumscribe the lives of African Americans. Harsh contract laws, okay, penalize anyone attempting to leave a job before an advance had been worked off. What? Okay, that's like saying you try to quit your job tomorrow and hold on, we need 6 more months of labor and then you can quit. And if you try to leave, police officer come grab you up, take you right back to work. That's crazy. I bet you nobody in here would go to pick any job if you knew that was the case there. You'd be working for yourself, right? Entrepreneur, right? I think. I look, harsh contract laws penalize anyone, okay.
Pig laws unfairly penalize poor African Americans for crimes such as stealing a farm animal just to eat and survive. Because now what you're doing, you twisted me up from working a real job. So now when I see a stray animal go, I gotta eat something. And the moment I get caught for eating something, now I'm locked up. Okay. And vagrancy statutes, I'm about to get into that, made it a crime to be unemployed. How many of us, let me ask this question. How many of us have been unemployed? Raise your hand. That's almost everybody. Everybody, right? That's what you say. That's not everybody. How many of y'all would have liked to be arrested if you didn't have a job? I guarantee you, if that was the law, everybody here would have a job. They'd be asking somebody, you'll hire me. You'll be doing something, or you'll be working for yourself. Follow me? This is what they had to deal with, family. All right. Many misdemeanors or trivial offenses were treated as felonies. Felonies, jaywalking. You're going to jail for 10 years. How many people jaywalk after that? All right. With harsh sentences and fines, the pig laws stayed on the books for decades and were expanded with even more discriminatory laws once the Jim Crow era began. And these are some people right here that was affected by the slave code, the black codes, because of things as trivial offenses. You want to say something, brother? No, that was another offense. You could do 7 to 10 years for that. For laughing. All of that. Next slide. That's great. I want y'all to go back and study. That's very, very serious. Let me go through this real quick. I'm going to read some of this and just expound. There's a lot of information. On January 9th, 1866, the House of Delegates passed the act providing for the punishment of vagrants, with the Senate of Virginia following suit 6 days later. The law passed in both houses by voice vote, leaving no record of which delegates and senators voted for or against it. There was little or no newspaper commentary like a lot of the laws that get passed now, such as the Patriot Act. You didn't know about that until it came out. All right. Leaving no record of delegate blah, blah. There was no commentary about it, reports of legislative speech, or explanations for their votes. There's no record of whether Pierpont supported or opposed the regulation. Either way, he did not veto power. Keep looking. The law's preamble states that there have lately been a great increase of idle and disorderly persons in some parts of this commonwealth. But hold on. You just freed me from slavery. You took all these black codes. Now I can't do nothing. You get mad because I'm idle, but I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do. And most of our people wasn't even educated in the South to even know where to start. But now you're passing a vagrancy act because now they got to deal with these idle blacks. Idle blacks. And see, we take a lot of this stuff for granted today. Because a lot of us, not all of us, but some of us are idle, don't be doing nothing. Imagine who's getting locked up for being idle. All right. It says, which displays, all right. Nothing comparable had happened to any appreciable number of white Virginians, suggesting that the law was intended to apply mainly to or for former slaves. The preamble declares that if the state does not act, it will be overrun with dissolute and abandoned characters, not even people, characters. So if the state didn't enact it, there was a statute in the law that says, listen, if you guys don't do it, you're going to increase the problems that we're experiencing. We get to point the finger at you. As a remedy, the law authorized justices of the peace and overseers of the poor to arrest vagrants and hire them out for what? For any term not exceeding 3 months. Hold on, let's go back to that. As a remedy, the law authorized justices of peace and overseers of the poor to arrest vagrants, arrest them, and hire them out. Are y'all seeing what's going on here? Okay, next slide. I'll run through this. That takes you to the convict leasing program. How many of y'all know about the convict leasing program? Only 2-3 people. See why history is very important? So after you arrest the vagrants, then you got an option to hire them out. Now you can sell them back to the slave master. Slave master put you behind back on the farm, on the plantation, because now it's by punishment and conviction. See? Vagrants is all over the place. Nobody's getting a job because all these black girls are there. So now the law says, okay, you guys are idle. We see you walking the street. Any minor offense, we're going to grab you, convict you, and now we're going to give you back to slave master. There you go. Have fun. All right. Convict leasing was a system of penal labor practiced in southern United States. Convict leasing provided prisoner labor to private parties such as what? Plantation owners and corporations such as the Tennessee Coal and Iron Company. During the Industrial Revolution, how do you think all of these things got made? Prisoner labor. And it was legal and lawful. Okay. The state of Louisiana leased out convicts as early as 1844, but the system expanded all through the South with the emancipation of slaves at the end of the American Civil War in 1865. It could be lucrative for the states. In 1898, some 73% of Alabama's entire annual state revenue came from convict leasing. That's crazy. Now, I had the statistics for every state, but most of the southern states had over 55 up to 85 increase in revenue based on this program. You think that hold on, you think they're gonna let something like this go? You think today, because you're in the modern day times, this ain't here no more? Okay, let me ask you a question. If you're willing to be brave enough to answer, how many people have been incarcerated here? Raise your hand. Because just because it happened in the past does not mean that's where you're going in your future. Okay, there can always be some intervention to get you back on the right road. The people who've been incarcerated, how many of y'all ever did any labor in there? And how much would you get paid? And it's legal, but look where it came from. It came from dealing with the problem of ex-slaves. You see, they couldn't let a bunch of slaves that had trades from being on a plantation and doing slavery, trades now, going to create their own communities. Can't have that. Because if you do that, you're going to create your own nation within a nation. Then eventually you're going to arm yourself to protect the things that you work hard for. That's why we talk about Black Wall Street. So now we got to do something about the problem. We got to give y'all a hard time legally. Okay. Essentially, both Black legislators and whites in the criminal justice system colluded with private planters and other business owners to entrap, convict, and lease Blacks as prison laborers. The constitutional basis for convict leasing is that of 1865 13th Amendment, while abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude generally permits it as a punishment for crime. Next slide. 15th Amendment says what? It says, to the United States Constitution prohibits the federal and state governments from denying the citizen the right to vote based on the citizen's race, color, or previous condition of servitude. I'm skipping through that. Next slide. Literacy test was enacted also because now if I can keep you from voting, I can keep you from putting people in office that would change these laws. So you know what I did? I gave you a literacy test. They didn't even teach you to read on plantation. I go pass the literacy test. Next slide. Let me show you. This is the actual literacy test. Let me show you how ridiculous this is, right? Draw a line through the two letters below the one last in the alphabet. And the first circle below, write the last letter of the first word beginning with L. Over here, draw in the space below a square with the triangle in it, and within the same triangle, draw a circle with a black dot in it. Spell backwards forward. Print the word vote upside down, but in the correct order. Come on, bro. This is ridiculous. Seriously, this is ridiculous. But if you can't pass it, you can't vote. As long as we keep you from voting, you can't change these convict lease programs, you can't change the vacancy act, you can't change the black codes, you can't change police laws, you can't do none of that. You feeling me? All right, next slide. Civil rights era. Keep going, let's go. Civil rights movement. Civil rights movement was a mass popular movement to secure for African Americans equal access to and opportunities for basic privileges and rights of U.S. citizenship. Although the roots of the movement go back to the 19th century, it peaked in the 1950s and 60s. African American men, women, along with whites, organized and led the movement at national and local levels. Though they pursued their goals through legal means, negotiations, petitions, and nonviolent protest demonstrations. The civil rights movement centered on the American South. That was where the African American population was concentrated and where racial inequality in education, economic opportunity, and the political and legal processes were more blatant, all right? Then it goes into Jim Crow laws, and the movement therefore addressed primarily three areas of discrimination: education, social segregation, voting rights. Problems started happening as time progressed. Blacks got smarter. And once they got smarter, they got more organized. Once they got more organized, then we can move in advance, because now you're organizing, now you can mobilize. Problem is, now they're looking at this and say, wow, you know what? This is going to be a big problem. So what we're going to do is, we're going to throw them a bone. You're going to throw you a bone. All right, fine. You want to vote? Legal vote. All right, fine. You don't want segregation? All right, fine. Oh, you want to integrate into this burning house? Cool. We'll let you run into it. Good. House wasn't made for you anyway. We'll let you in it. Okay. So civil rights movement, you thought it would solve some of those problems. It didn't really solve much. All it did was disguise all the problems. It didn't fix nothing. It was a great attempt. Very noble. Some success has come from it. I ain't gonna lie and say it was all bad, but we still have the same problems. The same problems. All right, forward. Voting rights changed in 1965. Move forward. Black power. By this time, civil rights activists were turning their attention to race discrimination in the urban North and West. Many younger activists, discontented with the slow process of change, were also becoming more militant. And you talk about Stokely Carmichael. How many of y'all know about Stokely Carmichael? All right, the rest of y'all need to research it. Now look, the term Black Power was advocates of Black Power favored of African Americans controlling the movement, exercising economic autonomy, and preserving their African heritage. Most controversial were the call for racial separatism and the principle of self-defense against white violence. These tenets were contrary to the ideals of a more traditional activists who favored racial integration and passive resistance. At the end of the day, by the 1970s, however, the Black Power movement had faded. It never gained the support of the larger African American populace. That was a big problem. Let's move forward. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. All right. Movement's legacy. By this time, after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, the rise of Black militancy and discernible gains in Black employment opportunities, the civil rights movement had begun losing momentum. Observers maintain that the movement has a mixed legacy. It produced major legislation that reformed American society. It opened up new political, social, and economic opportunities to Blacks. Veterans of the movement, however, lament that it fell short of addressing the economic needs of poor Americans. And if we're not making no money, then obviously we're going to get back to the same thing that we started from. All right, next slide. Going to pro, we'll run through this. So as a result of the 50s, 60s, 70s being so powerful, they're like, hold on. We got to do something with these movements. We got to find some way to stop these Black people from being so organized, because if they don't, eventually over time, so much momentum's coming, the game's going to change. So what they did was they started a program. Who started this program? How many of y'all know who started this program? J. Edgar Hoover. Who was his first individual that he wanted to infiltrate and destroy? Marcus Garvey. So from the beginning, they were trying to destroy us. But now, since so much momentum was coming, they had to do something more profound. Look at this. Following are transcripts of the official FBI COINTEL documents obtained under the Freedom of Information Act. Research that, look that up, you'll see the individuals who are responsible for actually revealing this. But look at some tenets. Prevent the coalition of militant Black nationalist groups. In unity, their strength, a truism that is no less valid for all its triteness. An effective coalition of Black national groups might be the first step towards a Mau Mau, which is a Black revolutionary army in America, the beginning of a true Black revolution. So they understood what we was doing. They said, hold on, we got to stop this. We can't allow them to keep coming together. Keep this unity. Prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify, electrify the militant Black nationalist movements. Malcolm X was supposed to be one of them. Martin Luther King was supposed to be one of them. Stokely Carmichael, Elijah Muhammad, all these people was considered to be a possible Black messiah. You got to get rid of it. Can't stay around. Okay, next slide. Prevent violence on the part of Black nationalist groups. Okay. 4, prevent Black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting Black nationalists must be handled tactfully in 3 ways. You must discredit those groups and individuals to, first, the responsible Negro community. Second, they must be discredited to the white community, both the responsible community and to liberals who have vestiges of sympathy for Black militant nationalist groups. The third one, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of the Negro radicals, that means the other militants, the followers of the movement. The last area requires entirely different tactics from the first 2. Publicity about violent tendencies and radical statements merely enhances Black nationalists. To the last group, it adds respectability in a different way. Pretty much what we have to do is find 3 different ways to get all the sympathizers of the rise of these Black messiahs and nationalist groups to hate them from the outside and then from the inside. A final goal should be to prevent the long-range growth of Black militant organizations, especially among the what? Youth. Youth was responsible for making a lot of these movements happen. Next slide. Next slide. All right, next slide. I probably got to run through this. All right, I'm just going to sum this up real quick. So after we had COINTELPRO, we broke up the Black Power, Civil Rights Movement, all of that. Next step was, okay, cool. There's still vestiges of this left, organizing, mobilizing. So how can we get them to destroy each other? Crack. 80s boom, crack. How many people lived here in the 80s, don't have to tell me your age, that knew about the crack epidemic? Did you guys know how that started? Anybody want to take a shot at this before I run through it? Somebody take a guess. Because after this, if y'all don't know about this, this must be the most important thing you need to go back and research. Reagan Bush. But how did the drugs get in here? How? Okay, getting close. My brother back there, you're a speaker. You shouldn't be answering no questions. Yeah, I ain't gonna ask you. Go ahead, Asa. There you go. You want to see that, brother? Watch right. Okay, cool. Let me sum it up because I'm running out of time. Yeah. Check this out. Are you sure? All right, check this out. So there was a civil war going on in Nicaragua. Central countries right below Texas and all of that, Mexico, all of that. So what's happening was you had a white community, no, it's not community, but a white oppressive system that was set up. It was overthrown by a quote-unquote communist system that was inspired by the communism over there in the East. And guess what happened after that? After that, you had these other individuals come, and these other individuals come and say, hey, you know what? We have to do something to reinstitute the system that we previously had. The U.S. government did not want black national groups to get in contact with these rebel fighters in Central America. So you know what they did? They said, well, we're going to empower those who want to overthrow this revolutionary rebellion. And what we're going to do is we're going to give them money, unaccounted for money and guns in exchange for crack. Okay. Then what we did was we moved it into all the black cities, starting with LA, and then moved it everywhere else. And what we did was we gave it in the hands of different forces in the community. We inject poverty and say, all right, you guys go fight at it. Whoever's the best drug dealer, you get paid most. Look up the free, the Nicaraguan army. It's called the Contras. Look up the Contras, and you'll see how everything got funded. This is really important if you want to see how we got destroyed. How much time I got left? About a few minutes. All right, let me wrap it up. 0. All right. All right, let's go to solutions. Let me go, keep going. I'm gonna go to solutions real quick. All right, can't get to all this. I told you about, we already know about poverty. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. All right, let me just keep moving. Actually, go back. Let me just read this real quick. I just need 3 minutes. Is that all right with y'all? Just 3 minutes? You okay with that, Nasi? Just 3 minutes? You sure? Are y'all okay with that? I don't want to impede on the time. You good? All right, 3 minutes. All right, count me. All right, go back. All right, right here. As private prisons become the norm in the United States, it's time society takes a look at the institution and asks, are prisons really being used as rehabilitation deterrents for crime, or have private interests started attaching price tags to lawbreakers' heads and exploiting the incarceration for profit? Here are several statistics that paint an ugly, troubling picture for the for-profit prison system in America. A 500% increase, the biggest private prison owner in America, the Corrections Corporation of America, has seen its profit increase by more than 500%, in 20 years. Moreover, the business growth shows no sign of stopping, having already approached 48 states and takes over government-run prisons. One way for profit prisons to minimize costs is by skimping on provisions, including food. 25%, 1 in every 4 people that is incarcerated worldwide is held captive in the United States jail. While you're held captive, guess what? Put you to work. That's why you make money. That's why you're sitting there. Somebody gonna make money. You ain't going to stay in prison, just chill for like a year or two till they see you, your case. Nah, you can go to work. Next slide. Okay, I got it. 90% occupancy. This is what they have to have private prisons in order for them to get funding. So you know what they got to do? They have to promote crime. 50%, nearly half of all detained immigrants are held in privately owned facilities. Did you know that? Putting them to work too. Okay. 45 million. The 3 largest for-profit prison corporations have spent over 45 million on campaign donations, which you probably didn't know. Did you know that they were paying politicians? That's why they have to turn a blind eye on crime or act like they're doing something over here, but they're really not doing nothing because they're getting paid. And all those payments, guess what? It's off books. You don't see that. That's the magic hand over here while the smoking screen is over there. All right, let me run forward. Go for it. Last slide, and I'm end off on this. So keep going. Slow down. Next slide. Solution. All right, actually, one question. What do you guys think the solution is?
Stay out of jail.
Huh?
Stay out of jail.
Stay out of jail. Okay, that's funny. All right. Anybody? Come on, I gotta wrap it up, guys. Somebody? What you say? Federal injunction. Okay, that's one option. Anybody else? Unity, group economics. Okay. Autonomy is the best solution. Autonomy. All right. Now I'm just going to put this on the screen so the camera can get it because I can't redo all of it. But autonomy is going to be our best solution. Homeschooling, home education is going to be our best solution. Youth outreach programs to those who are incarcerated, teaching about this history and understanding what this is. Creating social charters for body politic organizations so we can take over the politics in our community. Policing our neighborhoods. How many of y'all have a neighborhood watch in your community? All right, then that's a big problem. Now the police can come in because y'all not doing nothing to correct the issue. Proclaiming your nationality, going back to your identity, because when you're in prison, they strip you of your identity. This is why so many brothers come out, 5%, Nation Islam, Black Muslims, Hebrew Israelites, because they don't have an identity in it. They're searching for something because they all only a number in there. So now we got to go back and retrain them and teach them about their history, and we got to encourage us to our former inmates to join these Black nationalist organizations so they can understand structure, discipline, history, and we have to give them a spiritual system that was robbed from us when they disconnected us from West Africa and brought us here to America. So all of these things are autonomous solutions that we have to keep in mind in order for us to reverse this dis-ease and get back on a road to success, to economic wealth, and to political power and social contracts here in America. All right, and with that, I'm done, family. Sorry for taking up the time.
We're just gonna leave that how all the resolutions up there, that autonomy screen for you guys. If everybody could do me this one huge favor right now, because this is change. This is change. Everybody look around the room right now. This is change. This is change. If you haven't already visited one of the vendors, we're gonna go ahead and lock in. But at least anything that you've heard that has changed your mindset, any of these things that you feel are bothering your community right now, I need you to tag, share, tweet, get online. I know a lot of people will not pick up a book, but they on Facebook. Okay? So if you have an account, you need to lock in like right now before I give this brother the intro that he needs right now. Brother Nasi Yashuvel. Author, humanitarian, relationship counselor.
All of that stuff.
All that.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All praise to the supreme intellect of the universe, Yah, our forefathers, Yah Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Thank you, the merciful King, for allowing us to make it here safely to Orlando. Peace and blessings, family. I'm glad to see everybody's here tonight. We're gonna have a little fun. I want to say that Gabriel stole part of my lecture. Ron Devine stole part of my lecture. I'm just gonna freestyle up here now. Yeah. But it's all good though. We're gonna make this happen. You know, he started out with 50-something slides last night. You know, I was asking him just to ask him questions. He said, I got 50-something slides. I said, 50-something slides? I'm like, 30 minutes, 50-something? I mean, like, this math was off. And I was at 5 at that time, you know? So I just got a whole bunch of pictures for y'all. I'm about to do a SETI on y'all. Nah, but the Most High is excellent. Yo, Orlando is a beautiful city, man. I appreciate it. I didn't think it was this beautiful, man. It almost looked fake, so, you know. I might take some of these palm trees back. He told me, hold on for a second. That only happened during my time, you know. Yeah, but my part is talking about violence, right? And I'm going to have to start in the beginning where violence came from. I'm going to give a biblical perspective on things. I'm a proud Hebrew Israelite, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not one of them brothers that are downplaying our society or our brothers and sisters. I am a motivational speaker and a person that's going to be about upliftment to our family. But we've been here for years, and we've been the center of a revolutionary aspect that's always been a part. And you see these people now, they're trying to take our liberation and make it commercial. You see, I think initially a lot of our brothers and sisters had pure intentions. Kendrick Lamar verses and bars was nice. It was pure, coming from the heart, right? Beyonce, that was coming from the buttocks, the thigh. That might not have been the heart, you know. But they're trying to commercialize liberation. Once they commercialize it, it's dead. It's dead. If you look at Beyonce, you look at Kendrick Lamar, all they were doing was repeating the old Michael Jackson video. So who's in cahoots with that? So we got to see, once they get behind these things, they try to kill off a movement. And sometimes we don't understand that liberation ain't glorified through music. It ain't glorified through television. Because in true strategy, it can't be revealed. So though these steps that Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce took are powerful ones, never negated, you have to say at least we got something they can stand for. But Beyonce's songs are based on stereotypes anyway. hot sauce in my bag, swag, that's a stereotype. You know what I'm saying? But we as people, we have to understand that it's proud, and we got to be proud of who we are, wherever we at. And we're going to have discipline. So while they do all this changing right here, I don't think they have a connection.
Yeah, we got it, Tom.
You got it?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Divine is nice like that. He does stuff like that. And I want to give a shout out to Divine. It's funny because my brother Melchizedek raised his hand. He said, "Brother over there," like he ain't ride with him. So I want to give a shout out to Melchizedek. You probably know him as Partner Hesi. You probably know him as
I don't know everything.
J.C. Hughes. You probably know him as Oval Redenbacher. He got mad names. But that's my brother, man, right there. He's very powerful brother, studious. And all of these brothers here, we came a long way. We came from Atlanta. We drove down here, and we love in Orlando. So wherever y'all say, we going wherever y'all going after this. We hanging out with everybody. So we gonna turn this into ain't nobody special, ain't nobody uppity. We just like y'all. We want to hang out. We want to enjoy ourselves. Oh, the Hebrew drink? Oh, the Hebrews party. The Hebrews party. Yeah. Brother be out the cantoning, the garments be all off to the side. Didn't that brother have a kufi on when he came on? Yeah. They put me on the spot now. Now I'm just like, oh, you good? All right. The name of my presentation, okay, is not Dell. All right, it's not on there, but that's cool. That's good. That's good. Just put it up. It was called G's Up, Hoax Down, right? Y'all know where that come from, right? I don't know. Don't act like y'all ain't been in the hood before. Some of y'all just stopped pimping the other day, but you read one. You read a Dr. Ben's book and changed your life. You see brothers in here. There's a couple brothers in here with a few wives, man. So they ain't stopped yet, you know. Brother got Steam, he got Kobe, he got illegal channels on here. Yeah, that's it. All right, there you go. My son, he made it pretty. Appreciate it. Hold on, man. G's Up, Hoax Down. And the reason why I called it G's Up, Hoax Down is because I was supposed to talk about violence, right? And most people going to come in here and talk against gangs and try to destroy gangs. That's not what I'm here to do. The biggest... Right here? Oh, I got to stay on this side. Your camera don't move, huh? It moved when you was up here. Yeah. Well, now I got to stay in the corner. All right, you got me.
Just stay in the center stage.
All right. G's Up, Hoax Down. One of the things that we have come to understand is that we tend to tear apart our gangs, but in truth, the gangs are the basis of our liberation. And I'm going to get into that. Because I'm not telling the young brothers go join the gang. That's not what I'm saying. But listen to what I'm telling you, what they did to our people and our black people and how they destroyed us. But we have to understand that there's a power in our liberation, and the Creator is going to show you throughout the scriptures. So in order about talking about violence, we have to get to the beginning and the history of violence. Let's go to the next slide, which I got it right here. So, yeah. All right. Hunter and gatherer society. The brother spoke about it earlier. A hunter and gatherer is a human living in a society which most of his food obtained is foraging or collecting wild plants and pursuing wild animals, in contrast to agricultural societies which rely mainly on domestic species. Hunters and gatherers was humanity's first and most successful adaptation, occupying 90% of the human history. So what you have is back in the days is we used to be the men, right? We was real men back in the day. We get up, you know, we get our little bows and arrows, go hunt a little food, and the women go gather a lot of the crops and come back, and we meet back at the place and we make some meals. You know, this taught us how to work together. It taught us how to move together. We had to be warriors and be brothers and come up together. See, this is something that we're missing in our community because the warrior is dead. The warrior is dead. You got it. That's why you got a lot of Facebook gangsters, because a lot of us are retired. A lot of y'all, we retired. We ready to go get them. Well, you look over at your wife and she's like, baby, it's okay. But you'd have been that incarcerated person and you'd have been a convicted leasing and all of that. All right. Okay, this must be okay. I got you. I see where it is. All right. All right, hunting and gather branches, Cain, farmer, Abel, pastoralist. Many people look over this history of the scriptures and look at it as just to be some mythical fable or have no understanding of what's really going on. So what was Abel? It wasn't about that the Most High accepted Abel's offering because it was meat, like people tell you. Oh, it because God wanted to slaughter and all the blood. That's not what it was about. What happens is Abel was about knowing, not owning, right? So in hunting and gathering societies, these are two subclasses. There's the pastoralists and the farmers who initially worked together as brothers side by side and worked in a community. So what you have is pastoralists and hunting and gathering society is you have to know where the crops are growing. You have to know where the animals will be. It wasn't about owning or possessing anything. It was about the knowledge and the ability to go places where things were free. And nobody owned anything. This was the land of the Creator. It was a roaming place and also learning through travels. Like, perfect example, we traveled all the way down to Orlando. There's a lot of learning that we have just in the travels alone. You learn a lot about Orlando. You learn a lot about the people that are here. Also, when you're a traveler or you're a pastoralist, you're sovereign. And we talked about the autonomy. We talked about all of these. Anybody ever heard of the Sagaz in ancient Sumerians and Hittite writings? These people were pastoralist groups that were outside of the realms of every government. The government did not know what to do with it. You were the same way. And Javaris Banks, if you want to know anything, go to his table. He'll hook you up and show you the ins and outs of everything. All you brothers, you know, I see some of you brothers look like you got child support. You look a little sad. Go talk to my brother. He'll hook you up. You be skipping out of here like, yeah. I ain't getting nothing out of that lecture, but I'm free. Y'all happy now. Look, everybody's starting to shift like the shit. All right. So Cain was the farmer because he learned the skill to grow, right? But one thing you know is that when you start domesticating plants, it is not wild. It still doesn't have the same quality, right? So now they started to domesticate the plants and grow it in still areas. So now they learn how to be local instead of traveling. Also, they focused on owning. What happens when your crops are not growing in a certain area? You have to acquire more land. So now you're acquiring more land, which actually is the basis and the foundation of imperialism. Think about it now. When the government goes out there, what's imperialism? It's having countries, and it's also taking over other countries through force and war. That's why the word Cain means jealousy, envy, and it also means the tip of a spear. This is why war was created. It was a defense mechanism now to protect the things that were naturally given to every man, but now you own. Anybody seen the Amish community? In the Amish community, you brothers, you might not like us. Because in the Amish community, if you run out of hay, I can look in your yard and see that you got hay, and I'll go get your hay. That ain't gonna happen nowadays. Some brothers reaching already. And they ain't hay, like, brother, that ain't hay. That's $20. That little bit right there is $20. Hey. Let's go. All right, so this is how we're gonna do this one. What do these what do these immigrants and religious organizations have in common? Appreciate it. I had to get that ostrich neck. Oh, okay. Owl. All right. Italians, Russians, Irish, Jewish, Amish, Mexicans. What do they have in common? Yeah, what? Yeah, but more so, how do they have that? Yes. They work as a family together. We like that. That sounds cool. But in order to have a family or a community, there's something you need. They all have moms.
Oh, wow.
They all have moms. Italians have a mom. The Russians have a mom. Irish have a mom. Jewish have a mom. Don't ever let nobody tell you this fantasy how they just came to America and worked hard and they just moved up. No, they were drug dealers and they were corrupt. The only way to survive in the system is to play the game that the system was built on. So all of these, even the Amish have moms. I didn't even, when I see that on the TV, I was blown away.
Like, what?
I was blown away. They ain't even got no, they got no strong drink. They drinking holy water. They gangster. A pint of holy water. Where's ours? Where's ours? We need one. We need a mob, right? Oh, y'all too good for mobs. Y'all just want to go to your job and work hard and move up, right? It's no way in the world you want to get out of an oppressive system by building an oppressive system for working for them. It's no way in the world. You lost your mind, you might as well go home and cry under your bed, maybe slit your wrist and let the blood leak out all over the place because it's not going to work. I'm telling you, two, you can black power all you want. And two, you start working for yourself, building up your own communities, teaching your own children. All of this stuff is just show and tell, and it's not even a conscious community. It's an unconscious community trying to teach consciousness. All right, now this is quite advanced. All right, now this is what I wanted to show. He did the same thing, but it was also in the Final Call magazine, which I want to speak of. According to a series of groundbreaking reports in San Jose Mercury News, for the better part of a decade, a San Francisco Bay Area drug ring comprised of CEA and U.S. drug enforcement agencies, agents, and informants sold tons of cocaine to the Crips and the Bloods and the street gangs in Los Angeles. Let's stop. Do you know how Blood started out? Some of them were P Stones, right?
Yeah.
Some of them were P Stones. Do you know who started the P Stones? You got Fort, right? Now, Fort was in contact with a man called Nasi, who was a Hebrew Israelite. He was actually a counsel or advisor to him. Then later, Fort got locked up and he became Chief Malik, and he was a what? A Moor. All our gangs started out as liberation forces. Yep. They was about liberation. What happens is there was infiltration that corrupted us and made us our own enemies. You got the folks. Anybody seen the folks? They thought that starred David. Well, they always talk about all the other gangsters like Hoover and such, but they never talk about the man that was co-partner. His name was King David. King David. He was a Hebrew. Do you know that either disciples, their ranks are called what? Ministers. It was a spiritual liberation. And we understand that all the liberation, a lot of liberation that started off here is because we found out that we the children of God and we only answer to the Almighty Creator. So we started liberating ourselves because ain't nobody going to contain us because we only have one goal, and that's to become the best thing on this planet. We lions, we warriors, but we sit here docile at times. Although the Mercury News details the activity of numerous Nicaraguans, right? So now he already broke it down, so I'm going to just go to the part where it talks about some of the key players involved, right? Norman Menace, a Nicaraguan smuggler and FDN boss, Danilo Blandon, a cocaine supplier, top FDN civilian leader in California and DEA informant, and Ricky Donald Ross, a South Central Los Angeles high school dropout and drug trafficker of mythic proportions who was Mr. Blandon's biggest customer, right? According to the Mercury News, the article, for the better part of the decade, Freeway Rick, as he was nicknamed, was unaware of his supplier's military and political correction. So now, in our ignorance, see, this is sometimes when we ignorant, they can make mockery of us and we don't even know it. They'll give us a rapper. They'll give us a rapper. They'll give you this rapper, and you glorifying the same man who almost wiped out an entire race. Bringing in all the drugs. That's almost like me being a Jewish white boy, and I'm talking about I'm going to get this new rapper named Hitler's album. Hitler's cold, boy. He be spitting them bars. Bar guard. Yeah. That's like me being hyped off of the Nazi. It's not going to happen. But our people are pumping this because the European is so cunning, they have us celebrating our own demise. And we don't even know it. Our children are loving it. They eating this up. And he's eating stuff up.
Go in, Nasi. Go in.
That's Go in. That get came back out. You know what I mean? All right. Dr. Wendy's James, PhD in psychology of mob mentality and violence. If anybody know anything about me, I study the brain. I study psychology. That's why I do relationship counseling. A lot of things that the brothers were saying was powerful. I love everything, and that's the thing. But one thing we have to understand with relationships is there is a sorry, right? But you have to say that you're sorry, but the question doesn't stop there, or the situation is not over. The next question that comes after sorry, you know, like, and I'm gonna give you an example before I get into it. Your child, and we have to start being better parents. We were taught bad. I'm just gonna tell you. But it was the best that they could do at the time because they understand it. Your child says, your parents say, shut up. You say, what? You say, okay. Or they go to your room and don't do this, or do this and don't do that. Why I can't do that? Because I said so. That's good temporarily, right? But in truth, you have to give an explanation because they have to have a foundation to understand why they're doing these things. If not, they're going to try to figure it out themselves. So in a relationship, let's say, and we talk about this all the time, there's an underlying cause to everything. Abraham, right? We speak about it. Abraham, he had a Lot. Lot followed him, right? And we traveled along with him. And Lot means to cover up or veil, which I will go into later. So Lot did this, but he turned on Abraham because of the rivalry of their cattle. So he picked the best. Abraham said, pick any land you want. He picked the best land in the world. He thought it was the best. But what does that mean? How did he think about Abraham when he picked the best of everything and left Abraham with little? It shows that in truth, the life, every one of you in this building have a lot that walks alongside with you. Because he pretends that he's walking with you in truth, but in truth, he's covering up or veiling his true intentions. So what happens sometimes is if you argue a lot, you're going to argue a lot because you're never arguing about the real issue. You're never arguing about the real issue. There's a lot in the midst of you. You have to realize. So when somebody says sorry, you have to ask them, why are you sorry? And first and foremost, why did you do it? A child steals, right? You ever seen a child steal and they got money?
Yeah.
Children are crazy. I'm like, you stole and you got money? See what I was trying to do. I was trying to save up a little on the side, you know? No. But what happens? Sometimes it's a psychological issue that they're dealing with. So you have to ask him, when you say, don't steal them, you beat them, whatever, I don't beat my child. I want to be my child's friend. I don't want him to be my enemy. Well, he's going to be your enemy. Yeah. And there's going to be the little prison, convicting, leasing program, and all that, especially your little boys. Teach them boys know at an early age. And can I get water? No. Dang, no. Get 2 sips and come back. Don't give them that. Allow them to earn what they take. Earn what they give. Teach them boys early. Teach them boys early. You got a lot of feminine boys you're raising up here. That mentality, you stepped on my sneaker, that's emotions. That's wild emotions. Don't know how to control yourself. But in it, make sure you ask a person why they doing these things so it'll never come up. Because guess what? With our men and our women, sometimes if we don't express it, we'll find a way to make issues. Some stuff you're arguing about, you ain't going to win on a fake argument. How you going to lose with a fake argument? You ever thought you were going to lose with an argument that never was real? You can't lose that. You have to figure out what's the cause of it. So now as humans, we go back. As humans, we have instinctive responses that are exasperated by group influences. What we might not do as individuals, we may do as part of a group. So now as an individual, you might have morals, right? And you won't do this and that. But once you're around the group, sometimes the morals go down. You ever seen people, they go on, the Yankees and the Red Sox, they go play a game, and all of a sudden their team lose, and they just tear things up. Well, these are lawyers. These are doctors. But in the group, they are mob. They have a mob mentality. Is there anything wrong with the herd mentality? No, it has its purpose in life. And this is what we're missing as individuals, because sometimes we don't trust each other. A lot of times trust develops when we walking with each other and we protecting each other. When I know my life depends on what you're going to do for me. If you sleeping and I'm supposed to be sleeping while you on guard and I die, that's because you forsook the brotherhood. But as a brother, we learn to gain trust and develop more trust with one another. We need to be around each other more as brothers. We need to fall. We need to argue. Yeah, this is what you're going to argue. And if your friends agree with everything you do, you need new friends. You need new friends. That means you're a sensitive, emotional punk if your friends can't tell you nothing. You gotta make it sound bad. Brothers be like, well, yeah, tell me something now, you know what I mean? Tell me about myself. You gotta make it sorry little punk. Yeah. You gotta play on the brother's mind. They know how to do it. All right. People may lose control of their usual inhibition as their mentality becomes that of a group. A mob mentality phenomenon has occurred throughout human history, whether witch burning, religious zealotry, right, political protest, or reaction to perceived racial microaggression. So now, religious zealotry, we know, and I'm not talking about your church religion. That's not what I'm talking about. If your belief system is not talking about liberation and breaking off from the system, then it's not a system. It's not a system. Get away from it. It's not a system. But we talking about putting your life on the line. How many brothers are willing to put their life on the line? I hear y'all talking in your raps. Body so many people, shoot in the air, angels start falling out the sky. You know, you real gangster on them bars. What about in real life? What about real life? You know why you should be a person that's ready to put your life on the line? Because you did so much wickedness in this world. You do anything to sacrifice to perpetuate the movement of your people. You have to look in your history and say, yo, I was a sinner. And now I would give my life. I would give my life for the movement. And that's what we need, warriors. Y'all need to put them canes up and get out of retirement. Y'all brothers getting old and sloppy now. We need to get back. Y'all know the women don't like that. They don't want to tell y'all that either. You see Tyrese all on her screen saver and all that, you know? That means she wants you to get some abs. Don't get mad. Brother going to do like, what? 1,002, 1,003. Let's get right. Time to get right. All right, brain imaging. All right, this goes in and it shows that there's certain aspects of the brain, right? The study authors found that a conflict with group opinions triggered a long-term conforming adjustment of an individual's own rating that conflicts with the group's elicited neural response in the RCZ and the NAC, similar to prediction and signal error, right? So it's going to explain what it does. Further, the magnitude of an individual conflicts relates to a signal in the NAC correlates to differences in conforming behavior across subjects. So now conforming behavior is something that is a fundamentally thing that's taught. So when you're around something, your brain is triggering into the neurons and systems. It's telling you to conform. It's telling you to conform because nobody wants to be an outcast. Nobody really wants to be an outcast. And you brothers got to be patient with your wives when you bring them into the system. You say, hey, you Hebrew, baby. You know, you're going to wrap that head up and you're going to put on 3 skirts. And she's down for you, but it's scary for her to withdraw from her family because women are social. So you're trying to pull them away from something they needed their whole life or they're drawn to. So you have to be very slow and methodical with doing it and perhaps even involving the family. No matter what you believe in, if you're a good guy, the parents are going to be for you. You just got to be a good guy. You got to be a person that's above moral standards. No more just creeping and sleeping with the man daughter and then meet him 2 months later. Hey, Pops, hands stinking. No, you got to be more professional. You got to let them know. I don't care if they don't live with their father. You heard that? I don't care if they don't live with their father. You have to bring the man back in the household, no matter what. If you're talking about a black male needs to be in the house, well, you need to put the black male back in the house. Stop sneaking. Oh, yeah, she's 30. Her daddy old. He don't even care no more. No. You know why? Because if you don't put her daddy in her life, there's a lot of other men that's going to dog her. And I'm going to show you. Right? So first, it says, the present study explains why we automatically adjust our opinions in line with the majority opinions. So now, you send your child to school for 7 hours, right? You come home, what do you say to them? Yeah. Yeah. For 7 hours, do you come here and say, what did you learn today? And they'll tell you a little briefly, but do you deprogram them? You really don't have time to. So now what do? They conform. I go send my kids to school. I said, my kids don't celebrate Halloween. Then I go to school, I look on the wall, my baby look like Clifford, the big red dog. Oh no, this was not Halloween, this was Dog Day. But the child, what? Is feeling left out. They feeling left out. And we got to have something. We got to create our own community where it's good to be a conscious group of individuals and love who you are. So in this, you see that in the mentality, we need it as a necessity, but it depends on who is orchestrating or who is saying what's the social norm. All right, scripture says, Psalms 1:1-2, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth with the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. That means your friends got to be righteous. Come on, bro. You can't have nobody, your friend, he's sleeping with other men's women, and he your friend. Y'all going to hang out at the bar, you too, sisters. They said, how can the two walk unless they agree? Your friend a hoe, you may not be a hoe, but you hoe-ish. You leaning towards them. Oh, I'm like a hoe. Come on now. How many sisters in here single? They don't want to raise their hands. They're scared, right? Yep. Brothers, when you go in the house, you say, hey, they let you in? You be nice. Hey, can I go see your room? Like, look, why you want to see my room? Oh, no, we're not trying to do that, sis. I just want to see. Go straight to that closet. Those sisters got stashes of everything. They got all types of, you didn't even know that they had that. Yeah, sisters, I'm blowing y'all up. And that's not a good thing either. You have to stay away from that. Because you're trying to reach an orgasmic state with a toy. Ezekiel 16, the Most High condemns that. He speaks against it. He says that you took images and you lied with them. And you fornicated with them. Now, if that's not a drug, that's not addiction, I don't know what is. You got to look at yourself from the outside. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, they might not have had the ones with the batteries. You was using broomsticks. But imagine somebody walking in on that. How bad that look? How bad that look as an individual? That means you have an addiction. Sometimes you have to hold yourself down, and maybe it's your sexuality that's getting you in trouble in the first place. No machines do nothing. You know what it does? By the time you find real love, you know. You done blew the life out of it. Yeah. You need a push-up drawers. Forget the bra, give me the whole pack to push. You need the bra and drawers. Hey, give me the pick-me-up. Hey, I just keep it real, I'm sorry. CIA connections to Illuminati and the Knights of Malta. So now, in the scriptures, we know that the CIA is involved in everything, but we have to realize that they're connected with the Illuminati. Who is the Illuminati? You know who's behind the Illuminati, the Jew boys. The Jew boys, they using the same Torah. They using the same Torah against you that you say you go by, but they know that you really don't go by it. If you look at the story of Joseph, right? We see that Joseph actually take the Egyptian economy in order to give central power to the Pharaoh to protect the Hebrew Israelites that was in his custody. And there's his historical vacuums that when all the possessions went into a local Pharaoh. There's history on this, right? So now we have to look at what did Joseph do? He said, give me all your gold and silver when they were poor and broke and hungry. So they gave him all the gold and silver. It's the same thing that America did when they took the gold and silver back in the dollar. They took the what? The thing out of circulation. So now there's no real gold in circulation. There's no real currency. So what else did he do? He said, give me your cattle after that. So they gave him the cattle, but that's the industry. The cattle were the plows. It was everything, the things you used to build. And this is why when they removed the tariffs, they were allowed to ship jobs over across seas. And now you got Indians calling you about your payments. I'm not arguing with you. I can't understand you. This is not a good relationship, my brother. What are you saying? Oh, no, I don't need no turbans. I'm okay. No turbans. Oh, I owe? No, I'm not going back and forth with you. So now, what happened next? They said, well, all we have is our land. He said, well, give me the land. Is that not Area 51? Where they moving all the blacks off their land and moving them into the metropolitan area in the cities, but you thought it was cute because you want to move up, like the Jeffersons, to the sky? And what happened? Grandma died, y'all fighting over selling the house and splitting the money? No, dummy, go to the land. That's the only sense of autonomy we have. Grandma worked hard to get that for you. But you disrespectful because you're too westernized. You want to be like the white man. You want to be so Eurocentric. You want to walk up in his corporate offices and do what he does. Think about it. Now, in the scriptures, you know the story about David and Saul. David had rivalry with Saul, right? Now, his rivalry was that David was actually the anointed king, but Saul lost his kingdom. But out of respect, David never took out Saul, even when he had a chance to. So David was on the run until everything was clear. Now they have Doeg, the Edomite, right? The Edomite Illuminati, working as a head chiefman in the Israelite corporation, in the nation of Israel. So now they're talking about infiltration, right? What does Doeg mean? The word Doeg means fearful. Do not they put fear in the midst of us as brothers and sisters? Look at perfect example, Biggie and Pac. They really didn't have beef. You thought they did. I was in California when they first started the Biggie and Pac beef. In school, we was talking about we're going to meet the New Yorkers halfway in Chicago and we're going to kick them behind. Like we had this marvelous plan. We was going to get the cousins. Our cousins were going to drive us. We're going to meet them in the middle. They're going to meet us in the middle. And we're going to have this big fight. Sound ignorant, right? But in school, that's what we were thinking because we thought Biggie and Pac beef was real. But they put fear tactics in the midst of us to cause us to fight against one another. They own that music industry. And they know why, because music is it puts you in a trance. It's called music. Muse is one of the goddess that puts you in a trance in order to have you obey and do what they want you to do. This is what they do. Everything they talk about. The cops pull you over with sirens. Sirens are what? Sirens is the gods that yell and scream at you and you paralyze and you freeze and you just give yourself in and they take you and they eat you. That's on the top of a cop car. The whole system is telling you, you got to pay attention. Amusement. You crack so many jokes about homosexuality, now you're sitting next to a homosexual. Because they walked you into it. Oh, what funny you talking about that bag like that? You laughed your way into accepting it. Because you thought it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. It was something to kill off our people and take away from our power, who we are. We need real men in this time. So now you got Doeg, right? But I'm gonna just pass through this because I know we're short on time. Yiftach, I want to touch on this. Yiftach, right? Yiftach means to open. There's going to be a vortex. There's a time and thing that's open. The scriptures is nothing but a cycle of events that keeps occurring. That's all it is. Let's say it had no spiritual value to it. Let's just say it was completely fake. The world is using it as their script. That's why it's called scripture. So even if you really didn't believe in it, you better believe in it. Because they're doing everything they say they're going to do inside the book. So you forced to believe in it, whether or not, I don't care if you Amun Tata Tukuken, it doesn't matter. In truth, you have to fight the people with what they're fighting you with, and they're trying to beat you with your own autonomous system that's developed for you. Perfect example. You say the white man, that's the Bible, is the white man. Is it really? Why would the white man, a European, take an East African book and put it all throughout everybody's house? It doesn't make sense unless there was a higher power that wanted you to read it. But you say, oh, that came from Egypt. That came from the Butu. That came from the Bantu. That came from the Ashanti. Well, if it did, now you understand that there is a pro-black book that was given to you when all your stuff was stolen for you to take with you and still practice the system. There is no European book that teaches polygamy. I have never seen it. I have never seen it. And that's why you're special, because you guard that book. You guard that book. You are all special. Let me tell you something. Hebrewism is kind of weird, right? Because the government infiltrate organizations. We fight so much, we unorganized. We can't be infiltrated. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. They're like, we're gonna take out that man. Oh, they don't even like that. So that won't even affect them over there. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Think about it. Yahweh ben Yahweh, he died. What happened to the Israelite movement? It's still here. Ben Ami died, Israelite movement still kicking. Because it don't matter. We can kill off everybody. That book's still gonna be there to wake us up to say, yo, we getting out of this situation. We getting out of this situation. Now, I'm gonna run through it because I know I see people, they probably giving me signals and stuff. All right. Now, Yiftach means to open, a Gileadite, right? Now, if you read this whole section in Judges 11, they keep on saying the Gileadite, Gilead, 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 Gilead. The scriptures, it does something. It hits a point until you say, why are they doing this? You have to ask why. Don't question your book and your Bible. That's church. Oh, don't question. The good Lord don't want you to know the stuff you don't know, baby. It's above your understanding. It's above your understanding, baby. Oh, no, ask questions. Ask questions, right? So Yiftach the Gileadite. Now, Yiftach was kicked out because he was a son of a harlot. Now, it's imperative that we hear the son of a harlot part. Why is that important? Because the harlot, meaning that he has some negativity attached to himself. So what happened is Yiftach, when he fled from his brothers, when his brothers kicked him out, he dwelt in the land of Tob, right? And he gathered there vain men, but the Hebrew word is Baal, which means boorish men. They were brutes. But he had him a military, right? So they used Gilead to make a long story. They used Yiftach in order to save them from a fight against the Ammonites. The Ammonites are actually children of Lot, but let's look at the Gilead. It said Gilead, Gil-ad, right? Ad means witness. Gilgal is also a rolling stone, a rolling circuit. Gal, always to roll, a circuit, something that happens in a cycle. It's basically saying that I want you to witness what's going on. That this is a monument or a witness to a cycle that's going to continue to occur. Now, what you have to do is there's going to be a man in the midst of you, right? To fight the Ammonites, who are the children of Lot, which we already understand to say they're what? It's a covering, it's a veil. There's somebody that's going to be deceitful amongst you that you're going to have to fight. Well, this is a perpetuating movement. He took boorish men and came back and saved the nation. Now, it shall come to pass that in the days the remnant of Israel and such are the escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel in truth. So it's time that we're going to come, and we're not going to be leaning on the oppressor. We're not going to be leaning on the oppressor. In a city, when the city shut down, guess what's going to happen? You can't eat. When the city shut down and you in the country, you still eat. That's survival. That's a detachment from the system. You're going to be a person that goes back into the way of the creator, the true and living power, right? Now look at this. This is Merton's typology of deviance, right? I want you to pay attention to this. There's 5 different classes, right? I want you to rate yourself. This is just something. Look it up when you get a chance. I'm going to speak through it. We're going to get out of it. We're almost done. All right, culture, goals, and institutional means. Now I'm going to change it. Cultural goals, right? And if I fall off, I'm just going to play it and lay down on the couch like I'm done. That's not going to all right? And let's say institutionalized means or normative means. What does this mean? Cultural goals is what society wants you to have or says that's what you need, right? Normative means is basically going by the standard of what society says you should do to get these things, right? So now you have people that conform. So people that conform, they're plus. They mean they want the cultural goals. They're trying to get the cultural goals. That's your house in the city with a little picket fence or 2 floors or whatever you want. Your institutional means, meaning you go into your corporate jobs, right? So those are conformists. How many in here are conformists? You can admit it if you are.
Some of us, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, some of us are conformists. It's okay, but we're going to get out of it. So, all right, the next one is innovators, right? They want cultural goals, but they don't do the regular stuff to get it. Those are usually your drug dealers, stuff like that. And sometimes people like that buck the system. Look at Einstein. Einstein wasn't accepted nowhere. Neither was Nostradamus. They had to buck the system, and later the system caught up to them. The ritualists is those that don't even care about cultural goals, but they have the normative. They go by normative means. Those are your people, the janitors. They go clean up the school. They don't really care about the picket fence. They just go home and get their Colt 45, and they're all good. All right. Then you got the retreatists. Those are the ones that most of y'all have, like one of them cousins. That they don't have cultural goals. They don't have no normative means or nothing. They just out there in the streets. They binge. They come back 3 days later. You see them like, hey, what's wrong with you? Ain't nothing good. Where you been? I'm good. I just been on the street. They missing a tooth. Every time they come back, they missing a tooth. You ever notice that? And they have like nothing wrong with them. All right. But there's a rebellion. What does this mean? Plus, minus, plus, minus. It means that there's groups that says forget your cultural goals and create their own cultural goals. They say forget your normative means and they create their own normative means. The closest you had to that is what you see today in here. And these movements like that. Because they don't have it. We don't care about no cultural goals. We have our own goals. Our goals is to be happy. Our goals is to be happy. We're in pursuit of happiness, not like the Americans, but real happiness. There's an underlying happiness that we all have and we all need, right? And then our normative means we're going to be naturalists. We're living off our land. We're growing our own animals. You know what I'm saying, brothers? Yeah, y'all down for that? Some of y'all goals, y'all thinking like, I'm going to have 4 wives. I know y'all brothers. Y'all came here, thought y'all was going to find another wife. I'm going to mess it up for you. All right, now look at this, Transformers and Dinobots, right? Anybody watch Transformers? Yeah, some of y'all think y'all too. Come on, man, come on. Y'all still got 2 of these, brothers, come on. Now, it's a message in the movie. So, the Transformers is us, right? He was talking about it the other night, that divine spark, that's the breath of life. That's that etherical force that sparks every one of us, that keeps us alive, that keeps us divine and driven. But there was something when Optimus was getting his behind whipped, he had to go to the thugs. Dinobots didn't answer to nobody. Me, Grimlock, he barely even talked. He didn't have no cultural goals, no normative means, nothing. He was just by himself. But let me read this. Let me show you. I'm telling you, they're telling you how to get out of here. If you've been to Ferguson, we've been to Baltimore, wherever there's wars, we've been there. Divine Prospect been in there. Divine Prospect is a comedian, man. He in there with the newscast, like he got a little badge he made. Yes, Channel 69 News here. He's asking people and talking to the fans. I'm like, yo, this dude is funny, man. So, do you think that, blacks are suppressed? I don't remember Channel 69 News. I mean, he stayed there because when it was time to curfew, I went inside. I wasn't scared, but the fight happened that night. You know what I mean? I was out there all day. It was kind of hot. Not Divine Prospect, boy. Divine smoke ass. Brother, you see him running. Divine got a funny run too, boy. I said, that boy out there, boy, he out there. All right. The Dinobots are a rowdy, arrogant, low-brow, disobedient band of warriors, right? That some Autobots would rather scrap than deal with. They are also one of the most devastatingly powerful and close-knit combat units in the Autobots army. Being incredibly powerful in robot mode and taking alternative modes based on dinosaurs, the most powerful creature to ever roam the earth, the most of them dislike Optimus Prime. Now, I'm going to show you. Please listen. And I just came up with it this morning, so I want y'all, because my mind be going everywhere. I was reading about Yiftach and him with the Boris man. I said Transformers. He said, how do you get that? That's how my mind works. I'm a little different than y'all. I'm going home and play with toys too. I got toys. Me and my kids be fighting. They break some of my stuff. I be so mad at them, But you got to keep them in high places. All right. All right. So whether or not they follow the Autobot leader, orders depends on what those orders are. This attitude extends to the rest of the Autobot army, with most being viewed as too weak or cowardly to take steps needed to get the nastier job done. Please listen. Ferguson, the people wanted guidance. I want to say that Malik Zulu Shabazz, somebody goes out. I want to say that Malik Zulu Shabazz was the hand behind orchestrating them brothers in Ferguson because they knew military procedures. They were not just thugs out there just doing what they wanted to. So now these brothers would not listen to an Al Sharpton. They would not listen to a give me some more people. Jesse Jackson. They say you're cowards. That we marched long enough. This is what the young brothers saying. We marched, Bloods and Crips standing together. We marched long enough. We ready to get our hands dirty. And y'all need to start treating them like they nasty. Because guess what? They are our forgotten children. They're the ones that we didn't instill and invest time in. The Almighty says He's going to bring the heart of the kids back to the fathers and the fathers back to the kids. It's time for us to go back in the community. If you're a part of any conscious community, I don't care if you the flyest brother guy or all white, get your hands dirty. Take them brothers back in them gangs and teach them some moral institutionalize some morality inside of these children, so they're ready for it. I'm telling you, they waiting for it. They loved it. In the garments, I had the longest garments, just flying all over the place in the wind. I was bad at first. I was like this. With the flying, boy, my garments, I had cakes on and everything. But they loved it. So I'm like, we gotta go, man. You know, but time was short. But I have more. But I'm telling you the truth. If you're a part of an organization, please take time out and go to the gangs. You know what you tell them? Tell them we're going to offer you spirituality. We can help you with counseling and relationships. We can help you with your sovereignty. If you have problems with court systems, we can help you with that. Give them something in order they can give back something. Those are the Dinobots in the situation that are going to come back and allow us to attack and go against the scriptures. It's telling you, go to war with them youth, man. Take them youth to war and let's take back our sovereignty.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna look at it while you close it out.
Wow, we are completely out of time. I wanted to keep him up here forever, but okay, we have to wrap it up. Everybody, just lock in right now. Now's the time to do Q&A network right now. Just get up wherever you are, and whoever you have a question for individually, we're gonna wrap it up. But financial ID has a few words while you are wrapping everything up.
Good evening, everybody. Just 2 seconds. My name is Javaris Banks. I'm the founder of Dobbins Banks and Associates, and you see my wives, Samantha and Ty in the back. We run a program called Financial ID. We teach people Thursday, Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via webinar how to repair their personal credit, how to get that 700 credit score, how to start saving gold, and start creating more than one source of income. Very easy. How many members we got in here right now that's part of Financial ID already? All right, so that's confirmation that you all know that we do know what we're doing, okay? Because we met you all today, you have until sundown next Friday to reach out to us. You can get our information right at the back. I'll let you get signed up for our program that's normally $99 and $10 a month. I'll let you sign up for $10 a month if you get some information right at the back tonight. If you all look, you have a business, we have business credit manuals as well. We've helped a lot of people. We want to put $10 million back in our community. Financialid.info, guys. I appreciate y'all time.
Thank you. Again, they're in the back. Right now, as you're exiting, just please pick up at least one piece of information from them. Thank you so much for coming.